Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining us as we get together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. And joining me here today is the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
You know, John, I got a phone call from HBO this morning, and they greenlit my Game of Thrones pitch that takes place 1,000 years in the future. And I said, it's Star Trek, but it's in the Game of Thrones universe. They're outside of Westeros. They're in the great unknown, the cosmic, and they're like, great. You're greenlit,
and yet you're still here doing this show.
I gotta I gotta write the pilot now.
And also joining us today in full garb, it is 50 Shades of Cummings. It's Erin Cummings is here. Erin, how you doing?
Happy Halloweeny. I have my little pup, Joey Bishop, with me. She's the witch, and I'm her little black cat.
I love Joey, by the way. This is the sweetest little dog. She doesn't look happy to be in the hat right now.
Well,
I think she's just tired.
I see she's a little uncomfortable. She's like, okay, how's that?
She's in a new place. Oh, she's so adorable, though. I love this dog so much.
Cape.
Oh, she looks so good. Anyway, guys, listen, we do have a bunch of things that we need to talk about here today. We're going to talk about Green Lantern. They're taking another shot at it. It looks like it's coming to HBO. Speaking of HBO, cancel one Game of Thrones prequel, greenlight another. It sounded like Tim Miller, Roberts. It sounded like Tim Miller had some interesting plans for Deadpool 2 that never came along. South Park. The South Park sweepstakes gets one. It's kind of an HBO day here today. We'll talk about that stuff and a whole lot more. But before we do, I got a quick announcement I need to make. And this isn't a good one. So I got to apologize in advance. It turns out I, John Campea, am the DCEU of YouTube.
What?
I'm canceling a project before it even gets started. I am the new DCEU of YouTube. As many of you guys know, Christian Harloff and I, we have been getting ready to start 2 new shows together. It was going to be tight for me to do 2, but because Christian's schedule really allowed it, kind of made enough room that we could do 2 shows, and we were going to do 2. We've been planning on doing 2. We've been promoting doing 2. But Christian and I got together again last night, and his schedule, for very good reasons, which I am obviously not at liberty to discuss, but Christian's schedule, for very good reasons, has just gotten a little bit more full. And because of that, Christian and I are only going to be able to do 1 new show instead of 2. And the new show we are going to be doing is we are going to be keeping the Dark Side, Light Side Star Wars show that we're going to be doing. The one change is that Dark Side, Light Side is now going to be here on the John Campea YouTube channel. Now, originally, we were going to have Dark Side, Light Side over on the Schmoes Entertainment Network, and then we were going to do the Campea and Harloff show here on the John Campea YouTube channel. But we talked about it last night. We decided to drop the Campea and Harloff show. And by the way, it may come back in the future. Come back. It was never here in the first place. But it may appear in the future. But starting this Tuesday, Dark Side, Light Side, me, Christian Harloff, talking Star Wars, is going to launch on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will be live, and it will be on Tuesdays. And so our deepest apologies for the fact that we've been pumping and promoting these 2 new shows. I know I am the DCU of YouTube, I know. But, again, it was for a great reason. Christian's schedule is now filled up a little bit more, and we had to make a change. So Dark Side, Light Side, which was the main thing we really wanted to do together. We really mostly wanted to do a Star Wars show together. That starts this coming Tuesday, 2 p.m. here on the John Campea YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys will be here to join us for that. Okay, so I want to get that down out of the way.
You know, John, you and I could pitch another Game of Thrones show to HBO, perhaps, since you've got
now that I got a little bit of free time.
Because HBO Max is buying everything.
Well, I want to do a show for HBO.
Well, you can be in it. You can be the queen of Westeros.
I could definitely be the queen of Westeros.
I think we all just remember the South Park joke. It's HBO is going to turn into the new Netflix. Do you remember the old South Park joke about Netflix? They called Netflix and they just answered the phone. Hello, this is Netflix. You're greenlit, because it just seemed like they were just approving everything for all. It feels like HBO is kind of that right now. But we will get to HBO here in just a second. But before we get into our main topics, though, guys, I want to talk about this off the top. Of course, this week opens the new Terminator movie, Terminator Dark Fate. Now, what we have been hearing from some of the earlier previews was the fact that it's pretty good. We've been hearing it's the best Terminator movie since Terminator 2. Obviously not a very high bar because the Terminator films have not been spectacular since Terminator 2. Last night, I finally had a chance myself to go out and see it. And I'll tell you what, I liked it. I'll also say this. This isn't a great movie. It's not great. But I'll tell you what, with the history this franchise has had, right now, I'll take pretty good. And it's kind of funny because I was talking to Harloff before we went in to watch the movie. We're sitting there, and what are your expectations? I'm like, I said, I'll be honest with you, dude. I've been so let down by this whole franchise for so many years. I'll take pretty good as a big win. If this thing delivers pretty good, I'm going to be happy when we walk out. And you know what? It delivers pretty good. The opening 15 minutes are actually, I would consider them to be crazy good. Great action, a few little surprises, things like that. The first 15 minutes of this movie are actually dynamite entertaining. And then the rest of the movie gets into its groove, and a little cheesy. It tries to be kind of profound here and there, doesn't quite reach those things. They do a couple of weird things with the new Terminator, but honestly, by the end of it, walked out, and the theater I was in, pretty much everybody was like, yeah, that was a good time. Now, if you're going into this Terminator movie looking for the next Terminator 2, well, that's like going into another movie and saying, boy, it better be as good as The Godfather. I mean, Terminator 2 is the gold standard of these types of movies. It's not that. It doesn't come anywhere near that. But I really honestly think if you just go into Terminator Dark Fate, just looking for a good time at the movies, they do some very interesting things. It's not just explosions. It's not just that. It's actually got kind of a cool underlying mythology. They do some interesting things. I really like, by the way, the new girl who's like the new Sarah Connor. I really liked her in it. At first, I'm like, okay, so she's going to be the one-dimensional, blah, blah, blah. But I actually started really getting into her. Mackenzie Davis, I thought was great in this. And I'm a little bit in love with Mackenzie Davis.
Me too.
She's pretty great, yeah.
I might have to add her to my list. But that said,
what list is that, John?
Oh no, nothing. What do they call them?
Actresses I admire and deeply respect.
No, what's
that
one of the
list?
married
Hall
couples?
pass.
Hall pass. Yeah, I'll have to add her to
Hall
the
pass.
And again, when you live in Hollywood and work in Hollywood, you're not allowed to have a hall pass. But
By the
anyway,
way,
Mackenzie Davis.
and she was there last night.
Of course she was.
She came in, introduced the film for us, actually, and Linda Carter was, we didn't know this. She goes, Linda was going to be here too. She was totally
Linda Hamilton.
What did I say?
Linda Carter's Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman.
baby.
That would have been
I
awesome.
like where your
too.
mind's at, though.
Yeah.
I like where your mind's at.
Wonder Woman was going to be here to introduce the Terminator movie.
She's
for
still
some
got
reason.
my hall pass. Linda Carter
Anyway,
does.
Linda, she said Linda Hamilton she was totally stoked to be here, but she started getting sick yesterday and she couldn't make it and blah, blah, blah. So that was great. Honestly, and Arnold is in the movie more than I thought he would be. I honestly thought we're going to...
Yeah, I figured he was going to just do kind of like a cameo.
Yeah, exactly. We see a couple of shots of him in the trailer. I thought, okay, so that will probably be the extent, despite the fact that he's pretty prominent in the poster. I thought, no, he's in it more than I thought he would be. But this really is Mackenzie Davis and Linda Hamilton's movie. And again, this other girl was terrific in it. I dug it. When we got into Terminator Genesis, as Schnepp used to say.
Genesis.
As we got into Terminator Genesis, the new Terminator looked cool in the ads, and then you watch the movie and you're like, wah, wah. And this one, I didn't know what I felt about, okay, this Terminator now splits into two. I dug the new Terminator. I think it's Gabriel Luna played the new Terminator.
Oh.
And I liked him in it.
Of Ichimama Tambien fame.
Yes. And you know what? It's got just enough overtones of the first two Terminators in it, but it's still very much its own thing. And for everybody who thinks this is just a replay of the original story, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Anyway, all this to say is that blown away by this movie? No. The next Terminator 2? No. Decent night at the movies and not a bad little film in its own right? Yeah, I'll give it that. And right now I think it's holding like a 68, 69%.
So it's one of those things, if you're bored and you want to spend $40 at the movies, then go for it. But not necessarily running out and...
Yeah, I'll even go beyond that. If this is a movie that even remotely interested you, I'd say definitely definitely go see it.
Would someone who is not familiar with the Terminator franchise enjoy it? Like, could a random, I'm going to check out that Terminator franchise, see what it's all about. Would that person enjoy this, or would they go, yeah, I don't really understand the fuss?
That's a great question.
But how do those people even exist?
I don't know. They certainly aren't watching this show, but I'm just saying, theoretically.
Yes, I think you can go. Look, you'll miss a lot of the nuance. But I think if you walked in cold, never seen another Terminator movie before, I think you'll get caught up to speed fairly quickly. Again, there will be a number of things that will go over your head, but the basic gist of the story is clear enough that if you're a new initiate into the world of Terminator, you should be okay with it. So bottom line here, guys, I enjoyed the film. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go see it again. I'm thinking I'm going to, again, not a great film, but a decent film. And I liked it. And right now, after what? Decades of what we've been getting, I'll take a decent Terminator film. I'll take a decent one, and I got that. Question is, guys, this has been playing around the country in a lot of advanced screenings. Have you guys had a chance to see Terminator Dark Fate yet? If so, what did you think? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with them by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, fill out the form that you see with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to our first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets sent in to us from Edward Masai, who writes, "Greetings and salutations, John and crew. Just saw that HBO Max won the South Park sweepstakes and will be the streaming home for the show and its library for a cool $500 million. By the way, it's 500 to 550 million is the actual report. But anyway, what do you think of this move? And does it firmly establish HBO Max as a real player here? All right, thanks a lot. And as you know, amidst all the hubbub of Disney Plus coming out, and all the hubbub and boredom and nobody cares about Apple TV coming out, there is another player coming. Actually, there's a couple of other player comings, but one of the other major players on the way, not coming till 2020, granted, but is HBO Max. There have been a couple of crown jewels up for grabs in the upcoming streaming wars. Friends was one of those. It got picked up. Seinfeld was one of the crown jewels. It gets picked up.
The Office.
The Office, probably the crown jewel of all of that, got grabbed up. And I think a lot of us didn't even stop to consider for a second. South Park was going to be probably a big ticket item as well. And we heard last week that the bidding war was coming in. They said it could go as north as 500 million. It's gone higher. This comes from Deadline. Comedy Central's South Park will have a new home online as of June 2020. HBO Max, the Warner Media-backed direct-to-consumer service that debuts in May, has won the battle for exclusive streaming rights to the U.S. to Trey Parker and Matt Stone's animated satire, which is currently hosted on the Disney-owned Hulu. The deal covers, get this, all 23 seasons.
Wow.
It's so weird when you think about South Park being around that long, but it really has been. It covers all 23 seasons plus 3 new seasons, which will appear on HBO Max 24 hours after the episode first airs on Viacom's Comedy Central. So it's still going to have its television home, but even all the new seasons are going to be popping up here on HBO Max. And Rob, it's not like HBO Max just suddenly became a big player. It's HBO. It's owned by Warner Media. It was always going to be a big player. But this little move by South Park, I think is going to catch a lot of people's attention. And I know Anne, my wife, is going to want to sign up to HBO Max just to have that untethered library to all the South Park stuff. I mean, I think this is a more significant thing. I mean, it's not The Mandalorian, but I think it's a more significant thing than a lot of people make it out to be. I think this is a really good move on their part. What did you think?
Well, I just imagine that, like, Trey Parker, I know he used to have a house on Kauai a long time ago. I just imagine him sitting in his volcano lair, a la like James Bond, where he's got rockets going to and from orbit, and he gets the phone call. He's just lounging, drinking a Mai Tai or whatever. He gets the call, bruh, $500 million today. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like. It's just, and I love the fact that.
Well, with your HBO show, you should know.
They also announced that HBO is only going to spend $2 billion a year on content. And that came out right before this dropped.
That was original content.
Yeah, right. But I was thinking, it just because the headline was on content, I'm like, well, there goes a quarter of their yearly budget or whatever. I mean, I think it's great. I love South Park. I think it's amazing. It's been relevant. I mean, now we're going to have 27 seasons at least. It's astonishing that they were able to get South Park on the air. There's been South Park movies. There's been the merchandising. I love this. And I think that HBO is announcing, I mean, it was them unfurling whatever. This is just them going, we are here, bitches, and no one's getting in our way. And I think it's great. I think it's great. I mean, HBO Max, I'm excited about it. They certainly lived up to their name yesterday with this acquisition.
And a lot of announcements yesterday as well. We'll get to a lot of that stuff a little bit later.
Yeah, my Star Trek Westeros.
Your Star Trek Westeros thing. Aaron, I think this is one of the properties a lot of people overlooked with South Park. Do you see the relevance of this, or do you think this is a minor move?
Oh, no, absolutely. This is a major move. I mean, I know that when it comes to just randomly throwing something on TV or binging, Tom and I will go to South Park almost exclusively. Like, it's just sort of our go-to, we're going to have lunch or, grab a bite to eat at on the kitchen table. Let's throw something on the TV. It's usually South Park. And the fact that, like, as Robert said, the show continues to be relevant and continues to use hot topics that are going on and isn't afraid to deal with them, whether it's, what's going on in politics or what's going on in China. Like, they get in there. And
right.
I think that South Park really is going to be like a time capsule for what has been going on. And people are just going to look back and go, was it really as ridiculous as South Park said? And we'll go, yeah, it actually was. Here's my question, though. What is the difference between HBO Max, HBO Go, and HBO Now? Because I have HBO Now and I have HBO Go, I think. I watch them, but what's the difference? Is this a new thing on top of
I'll be honest with you. I've never gotten a real clear picture of that myself.
It's Max. Come on, it's
Max.
It's
Max.
It goes to 11.
It's like NBC, but it's Peacock.
Yeah, I gotta feel like I know there's some articles giving like all the content that's going to be on there. But I'm not really quite sure.
But is this something that I'm going to have to subscribe to in addition to
like
the
HBO
Now or
that's a good question.
I don't even know the
don't
difference between
think
HBO
so.
Now and HBO Go. So if somebody knows, please at me on Twitter and let me know, because I'm sure someone out there is like, God, Aaron, you're so stupid. This is what it means.
It's an interesting
so please
question.
tell me.
Question here is, guys, what do you think about this move to get South Park $500 to $550 million for the streaming rights to this show? All 23 seasons plus 3 more. Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.
I love that payday.
Huge.
Just
All right.
once.
Let's now move on to our next main topic today. And our second main topic today gets sent in to us by Boris Netkovsky, who writes, wondering if you saw the trailer for Code 8. I forgot it was being made, but I really liked the short film they released a few years ago, and the trailer for the film looks interesting. Thanks for taking my question. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Code 8 is a family affair of Arrow's Stephen Amell and his little cousin Robbie Amell. By the way, good Canadian kids. So there you go. And their new show. Now, if you don't know anything about it, here's the basic description, the synopsis for Code 8. Code 8 is set in a world where 4% of the population is born with varying supernatural abilities. That doesn't sound like X-Men at all. But instead of being billionaires or superheroes, they face discrimination and live in poverty. Also, doesn't sound like X-Men at all. Often resorting to crime. Connor Reed, played by Robbie Amell, a power-enabled man, is struggling to pay for his ailing mother's health treatment. Connor is lured into a lucrative criminal world by Garrett, played by his cousin Stephen Amell, who works for Lincoln City's reigning drug lord. Garrett helps Connor sharpen his powers in order to execute a series of crimes, while a militarized police unit led by Agent Park, played by Sung Kang, hunts them both down because he is in a desperate search for justice for Han. Is Sung Kang in that whole thing. So that's a basic understanding of if you haven't seen the trailer. So the trailer did drop. I'm going to admit something that I hate when movie fans do. And I found myself doing it. You know, when an actor's in a role, you just see the character. I got to admit, I couldn't see him as anything other than Oliver Queen. When I'm watching that trailer, and it's just Stephen Amell, Oliver Queen the Arrow. That's and I could not get during the scope of the trailer, which was only 2 minutes long, during the run of the trailer, that's all I could see. And I hate it when film fans do that. And yet that's all I could see. And it is, somebody asked me, don't you think it's kind of an interesting choice coming out of a superhero show to do a project like this one? Maybe, but I mean, the superhero content and the superpowered content and the metahuman content is a very popular thing right now. Easier to get made right now, especially if you can do it on a bit of a budget, which it looks like this one is done on a little bit of a budget. Look, I'll at least say this. Color me at least somewhat intrigued. At least a little bit intrigued. Rob, you had a chance to see this trailer. What do you think about the Code 8
me
trailer?
too. I mean, I like the premise. Look, I've often thought that if I was super powered, I would be a villain. Like, there's no question. I would not be some do-gooder. I would be, traveling around the world. I would be dining in the finest restaurants. I'd be ripping off as much money as I could, hanging out on yachts with the most beautiful women, and I'd be financing films in the interim by money I had got from my ill-gotten gains. And I like the premise. I mean, but this idea that if you're a superpowered person and you're living in poverty, I don't know if I buy it, because I would just become a megalomaniac, a supervillain, and everybody would know me.
But that sounds like what Robbie Amell is doing in this movie.
I hope so. And that's why I watched this and I'm like, I'm in, man. I am in, because this is kind of my fantasy writ large on the big screen or on my streaming service. Count me in. It looked good to me. And I didn't quite feel that way about him. He's just a guy that I like to look at. Like, he's a good looking dude, but there's something about his presence that I just enjoy. That's why I always liked him as Arrow. And I thought he brought that. I'm like, I'll watch that movie because of him.
Yeah, I'll watch it because I just want to support him. I just think he's a really good dude. Yeah. Aaron, you had a chance to check out this trailer. What did you think about it?
So I love the premise, and you're right, very much like X-Men. But I really did want to get invested in this. I'm going to be honest, I didn't love the trailer. I thought that there was a lot of information that was trying to be packed into a 2-minute spot, but it didn't tell the story. And that's my big thing. I'm like, you can have whatever actor you want, you can have as many explosions as you want to put in it, but if I don't know what the hell is going on, then I'm not really going to be invested. And the only reason I knew what was going on was because I had read about it before I watched the trailer.
Right.
I don't think that I would have actually been able to glean from the trailer what the full story was, and I therefore would not have been invested. So that's my whole thing. I mean, I watched it with Tom last night, and he's always all about like, oh my God, explosions, and oh my God, comic books, and oh my God, villains, and whatever, superpowers. He was like, okay. And he's the target demographic for this kind of show. I'm definitely not. So, but for when I look at him and he goes, I go, okay. So I would have liked for them to have a different trailer that actually explained more of the storyline, because I think it is a great premise, and I want to support Steve Amell as well. And I'm not even an Arrow fan, so I don't really watch the show, so I don't see him like that. I have a bug?
I'm kidding. Why would you
do that?
Halloween, everybody. Okay, so anyway.
Would you guys join my supervillain consortium, you and Tom and you, John? Would you become villains with me and take over the world?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Hell yes. Sorry. Aaron's now going to be just mad at me for the rest of the show.
I don't understand. Joey, get him. Get him.
Joey's like, what?
Get him.
Why did you wake me up? Question here is, guys, what did you think about the new trailer for Code 8? Were you like me, unfortunately? Are you having a hard time right now, maybe Stephen Amell just needs a little bit of time once the Arrow season ends and
he needs to do a
from
lighthouse.
And he needs to build a lighthouse. Jump on down to the comment section and let us know your thoughts. All right, let's move on to our third main topic today. And today our third main topic comes to us from our friend Kevin Crutchfield, who writes, "Hey, John. Saw that Greg Berlanti is developing a Green Lantern-based TV series for HBO Max that he claims is like nothing we've ever seen before." They all frickin' say that every single time. First, a Superman TV show, and now a Green Lantern show in development. Does this mean that a Green Lantern feature anytime soon may be facing Darkest Night? Get the
I see what he did there.
I see what you did there. Sounds pretty ominous, along with the fact that we've had no updates on the proposed Green Lantern movie anytime recently. Would love to hear your thoughts. Rob, they did just announce a new Superman CW show. What I said on my show the other day was that I think this is probably an indicator that Warner Brothers ain't going to be moving forward with any Superman movie anytime soon. We've been talking for a couple of years, and Warner Brothers has been bouncing around this idea of Green Lantern. Number one, what do you think about the idea of them doing a Green Lantern on HBO Max? And secondly, do you think this will have any impact on the notion of them doing a Green Lantern movie? Understanding that the moment they brought in Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke in that post-credit scene, they instantly told CW they could no longer have Manu Bennett's Deathstroke on there. What do you think about the idea? How do you think it's going to affect any movie prospects?
First of all, I've always loved Green Lantern. Ever since I was a little kid, I love the Green Lantern Corps. There's such a rich mythology there. I will even admit this, John. I own the Blu-ray of Green Lantern. I like Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. I like all the stuff on Oa. I like the Watcher stuff. The villain stuff so weird, the Parallax stuff. But a Green Lantern show could be badass. And I'm really excited for it. I don't think there's going to be a movie. But there's something else in this announcement that we're not talking about, is they also announced an anthology show.
Yes.
And I think it's Strange Adventures, I think, which is based on an old anthology comic. And they talked about they're going to do an Adam Strange is going to be one of the characters. I mean, I love Adam Strange. They are killing it in terms of mining the DC universe. And both of these shows are going to be on HBO Max. And I am deliriously excited for both. The idea that they're going to have an anthology DC series, God knows what they could do with that. I cannot wait. And seeing the Green Lantern, I hope it's the Green Lantern Corps. You know, I want to see everything. I want to see the Watchers, or not the Watchers, that's Marvel. I want to see the Guardians of Oa. I want to see the whole Green Lantern Corps. You would be a great Green Lantern. They should put Aaron Cummings.
Aaron Cummings would make a great Green
there's
Lantern.
a lot of cool female Green Lantern characters, and I would love to see all of them. They're all in various shades. I mean, I want to see all the shades of lanterns. I want to see the Blackest Night happen. I can't wait.
Aaron, I mean, look, I know that you already said, this is more Tom's gig, but still, I mean, these are major properties, and now it's moving over to a streaming service, which is becoming a bigger and bigger thing now. What did you make of this news?
I think it's very exciting. First of all, Greg Berlanti, I love. He's the Shonda Rhimes of superheroes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That is a great way to put it.
I mean, this guy, I don't even have enough fingers and toes to count the number of TV shows that he has currently on the air, much less the number of shows that he has produced throughout his career. I love the fact also that this is going to HBO Max, because as popular as his CW shows are, they're obviously limited in the content that they can put out. I think the fact that this is going to be on HBO Max is really going to push that, and we're going to see a much darker side of Greg Berlanti. And I don't think that's I think that's not a coincidence. I think that he's wanting to break out of the CW kind of bubble that he has done very, very well in, and it'll be very exciting to see what we do, considering that I will be a Green Lantern. Thank you very much for that.
By the way,
Rob.
you know who should be Hal Jordan?
Aaron
Tom.
Cummings. Oh, Tom?
Tom
Your
would make a
husband
great...
is Hal Jordan.
He would be a great Hal Jordan.
When I first met him, when I was seeing, I don't know, what we went and saw Joker. When we came out and I walked out and he was talking outside, I'm like, that dude is a superhero.
Yeah,
and I'm
his dream role is Punisher.
The perfect Hal Jordan. That guy.
I've been saying this for. We got to get Tom in here.
Yeah.
He would love it. He's always like, I don't understand. You know nothing about any of these movies. Why are you on John's show and I'm not?
That sounds a little bitter of him.
He's a little sour grapes. I'm kidding. He's probably watching the show right now because he actually does watch the show.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, Tom would be fantastic.
He's got to call his agent and get on that, because he would be a great Lantern.
Well, Tom actually does not have an agent right now. He's recently parted ways with his entire team and is a solo adventurist.
Well, I guess he's making
check
changes.
Out Tom
out from New York.
Degnan.
All right, guys, question here is, what do you guys think about this Green Lantern stuff? Do you think it's going to affect their coming movie? I actually think it will. I don't hold your breath to see a Green Lantern movie anytime soon.
No.
If Warner Brothers and their patterns stick true. But do you think maybe it could? Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts.
Now that we've cast the show, they should just move forward.
All right, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today gets sent in to us from Daniel Escandura, who writes, well, John, this is a bad week for Game of Thrones. Deadline just reported that the prequel starring Naomi Harris is now dead. I think it was Naomi Watt.
Yeah,
I think starring Naomi Watt is now dead. and they won't even shoot the pilot.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Did they shoot
They
the pilot?
They shot the
pilot.
pilot, and that's why they killed it.
There you
Yeah.
go. Not that I was interested in a prequel, but what happened? And what does this mean for future projects? Well, it's really interesting that you bring that up. First of all, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. I'm not as big of a Game of Thrones fan as a lot of people are, but I am a Game of Thrones fan, and I am a Naomi Watt fan.
Who? Oh.
I am a Naomi Watt fan. This lady to me can do no wrong.
Mulholland Drive, that's all I'm saying.
You put her in anything, she'll steal it. She's great. So I got very, very intrigued. Now, of course, Game of Thrones has been in the news a little bit lately with the Benioff and Weiss departing Star Wars and all this kind of stuff. Then hot on the heels of that, boom. I think it was called Blood Moon. I think was going to be the name of it, but was it not? I think it was Blood something or other. But they pulled the plug on it. Not going to series, which at first I thought, well, damn. That's too bad. But then, right on the heels of that announcement, comes another announcement that they have actually ordered straight to series another Game of Thrones prequel.
On the same day.
House of Dragon is going to be set 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. And it's going to look at a couple of the Targaryen kings. And I guess they're dragons. I'm going to guess there's going to be dragons in there. They've ordered a 10-episode season, first season. Now, I haven't read anything yet about where or when this thing's going to appear. Where it's HBO, obviously. When it's going to appear, I'm not really sure. They haven't been really super clear on that just yet. Now, listen, there have been a number of projects they've been talking about. Like, I think at one point there were 4 Game of Thrones spin-off things in some stage of development that they were going to do, including one that really focused on, the little forest people. I can't remember the names of the
Children of the Forest.
The Children of the Forest. The forest people. The Children of the Forest and the origin of the Night King. That was going to be wrapped into some other things as well, and a lot of different things. Now, we said before, there's no way these all come to fruition. I think right now they wanted to get a lot of pots boiling and just see what was turning out. So we never expected all of them. But I'll tell you what, if you had asked me a week ago to put $5 on which one do I think has the best chance of actually getting done, I would have said the one with Naomi Watt, because it's starring Naomi Watt. So I think that one probably has the best chance. That one gets killed. They've moved on now to the Targaryen one. Rob, your thoughts on this? Any surprises, and what do you think about this moving forward?
Well, first of all, this is all, I mean, for those of you watching the entertainment industry, there's a lot of shocking announcements that have gone on the last 48 hours. Benioff and Weiss leaving Star Wars, the creators of Game of Thrones, who, by the way, get their name as executive producers on every Game of Thrones show moving forward. Then they kill this pilot that Jane Goldman was show running, and she wrote X-Men First Class. She worked on the Kingsman movies. They shot this pilot. They've been editing it since the summer. Clearly, I heard there was a lot of people were not happy. So they killed that. And then the same day they announced that George R.R. Martin's prequel show that he's the creator of Game of Thrones, is involved with, is moving forward with a series commitment. They didn't even give that other show that they shot the pilot a series commitment. This is a put deal. This is 10 episodes. They're going to spend the money. And that's another $200 million plus commitment from HBO Max. I mean, so yesterday they spent $700 million. And I mean, it's unbelievable. Look, I'm stoked about it because how do you if you think about life, where were we 5,000 years ago? There's a lot of changes in those 5,000 years, but how does a Game of Thrones show that's already medieval, how do you go 5,000 years or 3,000 years back into the past? What are they, all Cro-Magnon people? So I was like, how good can this show be? But seeing the mad Targaryen kings in the Civil War, when each side has dragons, I want to see that. I want dragon riders. I want them going to war. I want to see just mass casualties, not just burning up King's Landing. I want to see dragons fighting each other in the streets. I think we're going to get that. I'm very excited. George R.R. Martin's handling it. And go HBO Max.
Aaron, you heard this news. What do you make of all this mess?
Well, first of all, I'd like to clarify, it's actually Naomi Watts.
Oh, did I say Watt? I think I do that from time. I just call it Watt. Yeah, Naomi Watts. You're absolutely right.
I just
because she's megawatts as far as I'm concerned.
She is megawatts, wattage plural. I'm actually surprised that if there was a Game of Thrones prequel in the works with George R.R. Martin attached, why they ever spent all the money to create a pilot for, like, that would be the clear choice if that's the one that you're going to go with. And why would you not, like, it's just weird to me that you would spend so much money, because no doubt that prequel that they did, the pilot that they did shoot, cost a lot of money. It's not like pilots are cheap.
Right.
They're in the millions and millions of dollars. So it's always fascinating to me when someone spends, $10 million plus and then goes, nah, we're just going to get rid of the whole thing. But I also, like, as an actor, my heart goes out to the actors who really, I remember my manager represents one of the actors who was in the pilot, and I remember meeting him and being like, holy shit, your life is about to change in the most incredible way. And now it's just not. So it makes me sad for the people that are involved, because obviously it's hard. How could you not be a part of that and go, this is my dream job? Not just the cast, but the crew, everyone involved. So I'm sad for them.
Well, guys, question is, what do you think about all this? We are getting more Game of Thrones, at least in that world of Westeros, but we're not getting the one that I really thought we were going to get. What do you guys make of that? Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, with that down out of the way, let's move on to our fifth main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets sent in to us from Kelly McGovern, who writes, hey guys, I just read the craziest thing that Tim Miller, when he was still going to direct Deadpool 2. Now remember, Tim Miller directed the first Deadpool. He did not direct the second one, but he did just direct Terminator Dark Fate, just getting that all straightened out. Tim Miller, when he was still going to direct Deadpool 2, was actually going to have Fantastic Four's The Thing pop up in the third act of the film and actually be the one to battle Juggy, that's Juggernaut. He was also not going to kill Marina Baccarin's Vanessa, but rather have her become the vigilante called Copycat. Do you think they missed out on these things? All right, thanks a lot for sending in that question. And first of all, let's say this. Deadpool 2, I love it. I love Deadpool 2. It was, up until a week ago, the number 2 R-rated box office film of all time. It is now number 3 because, of course, Joker hopscotched both Deadpool films and is up there now. It is a worthy follow-up to the first Deadpool. I loved it. I thought it was incredible the way it all worked out. And one of the highlights of the movie for me was Colossus fighting Juggernaut at the end. I love that scene. That thing's great. Tim Miller, of course, who did such a spectacular job directing the first film, he was supposed to come back. And then we've never really got, I don't think we've ever gotten the real reason about why all of a sudden out of nowhere he was no longer directing Deadpool 2. It was especially odd because it appeared like him and Ryan Reynolds got along very well. He worked very well with the two writers of the film as well. So I don't think we ever truly got the real story. Maybe we never will, and that's fine. He went on, he did Terminator Dark Fate, kind of, redeemed the Terminator name a little bit. So good on him. It is interesting about what his plans for Deadpool were going to do, because at the time, Fantastic Four, Fox was still a separate entity. Fantastic Four belonged to them. If he was going to kind of play in that world the same way he played with the X-Men world, which wouldn't have affected the continuity of either, because Deadpool was really living in its own little bubble anyway. He lived in an X-Men universe where only 2 X-Men lived in the X-Men mansion. So just keep that in mind. But it would have been a very interesting change of direction. Now, do I think they missed out on something? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I don't think they missed out on anything, because the movie we got, Deadpool 2, was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. But I'd be lying if I didn't say it would have been kind of interesting to see what Miller would have done there. Rob, you hear about all this. Was that a missed opportunity? Did they make the right decision and go in the right direction? How do you think this could have been handled differently? What do you think about this?
Look, I didn't like Deadpool 2 as much, but on visiting a second and third time, I've come to like Deadpool 2 probably as much as the original. I would dearly have loved to have seen The Thing in the Deadpool universe. Fun. If there's one character in the Marvel universe that could belong in a Deadpool movie, it's Ben Grimm. And I would love to have seen that. And also, I killing Marina Baccarin, I wept as if she was my sister. I was so sad. Who doesn't love her?
Oh, she's amazing.
She's amazing, and she's amazing in those movies. I love her to pieces, and if she could have been a superhero and watching Deadpool and Copycat fighting side by side, come on. That would have been great. So this is, the road not taken. There's always regrets, and I'm sad we didn't see this, but that doesn't mean we can't see something like it in the future.
Sure. By the way, Marina Baccarin, of course, became a forever imbued in all of our thoughts and minds when she was in Firefly. As what did they call it? She not a consort? What was the name of her profession again?
But yes, she was a
prostitute,
a lady of the evening.
Yeah,
yes.
But it in that world, it was a highly revered kind of role and position in the thing, and it was a very high class sort of thing, right? One of the funniest moments in television history, to me, was when her new client arrives, and it's a big government important government official thing, and it turned out being another woman that showed up, right? And Adam Baldwin, who played Jane on the show, one of the great television characters.
Yeah.
All the crew is standing there. Nathan Fillion's standing there. The whole crew standing there as Marina Baccarin welcomes her new client aboard, and Adam Baldwin as Jane just, I'm going to be in my bunk. And he turns around and walks off. One of the great Jane moments ever in that show. And by the way, she was one of the few things I really liked about Gotham. Marina Baccarin in Gotham, she was actually quite good in that. That's where she met. I think they got married.
Yes, they did. Shout out to Benjamin McKenzie from the OC, brah.
Yeah, so and the guy who played Commissioner Gordon.
Getting married to her.
Yeah, they that's where they met, developed a relationship. They got married. So a lot of great things. She's just stellar. And how you take a character like Vanessa in that first Deadpool movie, and yeah, of course, she's a good-looking girl. She can make her look sexy. That's fine. But she was able to play this character in such a way that you totally believed in the character. You totally believed that she was feisty and hilarious, but loving and caring, and also this wild side, which made her appeal to Wade, and all. Like, she did such a good job. I hate comic book movie romances. Generally, there are very, very small few that work for me. Tony and Pepper, that one works for me.
Medusa and Black Box. That's my favorite.
Not as popular.
Black Bolt, sorry.
Black Bolt.
Black
Box. I'm like,
Hey.
what have I missed out on?
Adam Garfield and Emma Stone and the Amazing. I really did buy their relationship, but Wade and Vanessa was just one of the best. Like, you believed Deadpool would have moved heaven and earth to get back to her and that, and then so when she dies in Deadpool 2,
dude, I was mad.
Felt it.
I was so mad. I'm like,
I felt it. She's so freaking great. Anyway, what were we even talking about here? Oh, yes, Deadpool 2 and what they would have done. Anyway, Aaron, you hear about these things that the could-have-beens, and the could-have-beens are always funny stories, but do you think they made the right decision moving in the direction that they did? Do you think it was a missed opportunity? How do you see this?
Well, here's where I'm confused, and admittedly, most of my work is in television, which is a writer's medium, so it's a little bit of a different situation. But how is it that the director would say, oh, these are all the characters that I was going to put in this movie? Wouldn't that be the writers that would be putting them in?
No.
It's in the world of features, a director literally can just go, oh, I want this character and we're doing this.
I mean, look, it all depends. Sometimes the producers set those paces, but really, that's one of the big differences between the movie medium and the television medium. In the television medium, the directors work for the writers. In the movie medium, the writers work for the directors. The director's on set, director's king. But in television, the director only directs in most cases.
Unless it's the pilot.
A director will come in and direct 1 or 2 episodes of a season. Mm-hmm. And then next week's episode gets passed on to another director. Right. The constant is the writers who control the whole flow of the show. And the first AD.
Don't forget the first AD.
In the movies, the director oversees everything from start to finish.
But even when it comes to like adding characters that aren't in the script, I guess
it depends between the producers may come in and say, this is what we want our movie to be, and then the director will step in and say, okay, I understand what it is you want. Now it's my job to take what it is you want, and I'm going to be the one responsible for bringing that all for fruition. You hired the writers; they're going to write their screenplay. I'll let them know what we need to change, and
Yeah,
away
and
we
I think,
go.
but there's also a world in which, and I'm not saying that that was not the intention going into the movie, but there's also a world. I mean, I know I certainly have been in a position, not that position, but being able to say, well, if I had done it, I would have done all of these things. Maybe things that came to my mind much later after the fact. So, I mean, would we have seen it if he had been the director? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But I agree with Rob. Like, that doesn't mean that we won't be able to see. I love a crossover. I love seeing characters come in from one world and venture into another. So I would have loved to see it as well. But that doesn't mean that there's not a world in which we could see it somewhere in the future.
I mean, they all belong to Disney now.
And plus, Tim Miller, as John Schnepp used to say, was a huge sweaty. He was a huge comic book nerd. So I'm sure after Deadpool 1, he was open with these suggestions and said, this is what I would like to do. Let's incorporate that. Maybe that was where the tension arose, or maybe that's why he was overstepping. I don't know, but he's a massive comic book fanatic.
Because that first one was very much the way Ryan Reynolds describes it, it was very much a four-way collaboration.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, Reese, Wernick, and Miller. The two writers, the director, and the overall, the creative force behind it all was Ryan Reynolds. The four of them really did work together in a very good flow. But this is one of those rare movies, too, where the star of the film was also the boss. He was the one pushing this. He's the one who pushed this whole project forward. He's the one who got it landed. He's the one who got it greenlit. He's the one who did everything. So it was an interesting situation. Again, I'll always wonder why Tim Miller didn't do the second one. They've said some things that I don't really buy, but I mean, we don't ever really know. Question is, guys, what do you think? Are you perfectly happy like I am with the direction that Deadpool 2 went? Or are you kind of like, man, seeing the Thing pop up there? Imagine seeing Colossus and the Thing teaming up to fight Juggernaut.
Dude.
Am I breaking your heart a little bit right now?
I feel like I've missed out on something I should have had in my life.
Anyway, you guys jump on down to the comment section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. We're now going to move into the live questions for today. But before we get to the live questions, we are going to take just a couple of minute break here, give ourselves a chance to rest the vocal cords, stretch the legs, refill our drinks. So if you guys will indulge us, we will be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you so much for indulging us as we took a little bit of a break. Now let's dive right in and start taking your guys' live questions. So we're going to start off things here with, who are we starting off with? We're starting off with Clody, who writes, I got the impression they wanted to do a series for each house, and then maybe they would do a crossover series like the Marvel Netflix shows. Ooh. Oh, God, no. No. Why does everybody want everything to be the Marvel formula? They were never going to. That was never part of the plan. So one show was set 1,000 years before, one show was 300 years before. There was never the plan to do all the different houses and bring them together like a big event. No, that was never. Rob, you ever hear anything different?
No, I mean, what are they going to do? Walter Frey show? Like, wasn't what?
Nobody wants to see a whole
the
season
twins.
of that.
Yeah, I mean, the twins. The name of the new. I mean, wasn't Game of Thrones already a shared universe?
Right, exactly.
I mean, it was already a crossover show.
All right, let's see here. Kevin Lewis writes, LA ever going to get its own heroes/team in the MCU? I wouldn't doubt it at some point, but right now it's kind of basically New York based. But then again, they have global heroes, they have intergalactic heroes, whatever. I'm at some point we'll probably get West Coast, not West Coast Avengers. I don't think they'll ever do that, but we'll get a semblance of something like that.
Moon Knight was in the West Coast Avengers once.
Angry Irish Benjamin writes, I'm glad you like Terminator Dark Fate, John. I feel like it was a bit shaky on the ending, but very solid otherwise. Interesting new characters. Again, I love the new girl. And I thought that was my big question mark going in, was this girl, is she going to be kind of, I really liked her. I thought she was quite good in it.
You're talking about Mackenzie Davis's character?
No, the new,
young one.
The new Sarah Connor, the young
one.
girl.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, she does not play Sarah Connor. I'm saying the new Sarah Connor type character. City Swift writes, asking respectfully, will we ever get a how to butter popcorn via straw video? Well, actually, we've already done one.
Yeah, I've seen it. And didn't I take another one?
And you did. You took another one, as a matter of fact, while we were at the theater together. Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to find that and put it back on my Instagram.
I have to watch that. I have not seen it.
It's so gross.
Very, very simple.
So gross.
It's very simple.
You will never eat popcorn again.
It is glorious and wonderful. But it's also very, very simple. The problem is when you put your own butter on the popcorn, it's just you got butter on the first inch of popcorn in your bag and everything else is dry. So what you do is you take your straw, put it down near, not at the bottom of the bag, but about that far from the bottom of the bag, and attach the other end to the butter dispensary nozzle, hit it with your thumb, and then start to move the bag down, bringing the level of the straw up so it's distributing butter throughout all the glorious popcorn. And then you soak the top layer. And remember, guys, popcorn is nothing but a butter delivery device. So,
dude, it's a salt delivery device.
Oh,
get it right.
There are people who like that. You know, I went to a concession stand once with Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson in the MCU, and he did something that I've never seen anybody do before. He ordered popcorn, great. Then he bought a box of raisins and put raisins in with his popcorn, and I'm like,
no, you put M&Ms in with the popcorn.
M&Ms with
peanut
lots of
M&Ms
salt.
in with the popcorn.
But apparently, I remember the first time he did go, okay, look, I had this great time with Clark Gregg and everything, but he did this, and it freaked me out. And I was surprised how many people told me, yeah, John, that's kind of a lot of people do that. I'm like, really?
And some people
really
put ketchup on their
M&Ms
eggs, but that doesn't mean that you can be friends with them.
Oh, ketchup on your eggs.
You know, there's a hot toy of Clark Gregg.
I thought you were going to say there's a hot toy of ketchup on
your
eggs.
eggs.
No.
I don't doubt it. I love Clark Gregg. All right. Jack Humphreys writes, thoughts on Watchmen? I haven't seen it yet. Rob, you saw it.
You know, I have not seen the second episode yet. The first episode was perplexing to me. I understand where they're going with it, but I think I do. But look, it's a beautifully made show. I think it's beating you over the head with its message, and I don't necessarily know if it's a worthy successor to the Watchmen comic, but we shall see. I'm certainly going to watch it. I'm not hate watching it yet like I expected to out of the gate.
All right.
Regina King is hot.
Oh, Regina King's always great in anything she does. Michael Pacheco writes, hey, John, any thoughts on Shia LaBeouf's Honey Boy, possible award season contender? You know, I still haven't seen Honey Boy. Honey Boy and Peanut Butter Falcon are still two that I haven't gone to see. Now, this week has been great for me. I saw Parasite. I saw Lighthouse. I saw Jojo Rabbit. I saw Terminator Dark Fate. Tonight, I'm going to go see Dr. Sleep. Actually, I got a date tonight.
Yes, you do.
Dude, I can't believe you're seeing Dr. Sleep tonight.
Me and Aaron Cummings are going to go see Dr. Sleep tonight.
Hot day.
So I'm excited.
I'm really excited to see Dr. Sleep.
That's right. I'm a married man whose wife's out of town, and I got a hot date tonight.
I'm a married woman whose husband is in town, and I've still got a hot date
Even
tonight.
better. I'm going to talk to Tom on the phone while we go out. All right. I don't know where I was going with that. All right, next one up. Tom Wyenberg writes, what a week for us Game of Thrones fans. Sad about Goldman's show, but as big of a Targaryen dragon fan, I'm really excited about House of Dragon. Love Miguel. Oh boy, I never pronounced Miguel's last name right. Sapochnik, too, directed.
Sapochnik?
He was also directed this year. He was nominated this year for an Emmy for Game of Thrones as well for his directing. Some of the best Game of Thrones in directing will be fine. Writing by Ryan Condal is going to be a wild card, though. It all depends on the pitch for the story. But you're absolutely right. At first, it looked like a dark day for Game of Thrones fans. They had this one with Naomi Watt coming out.
Watts.
And I always just pronounce it Watt. Anyway.
It's the Canadian pronunciation. Sorry.
And then that gets pulled. It's like, oh, God. But then immediately comes news of other things. So it could be a very, very good day. And you're right. They're going to bring along some of the original series directors to give a continuity of feel and tone, which is a great idea. And we'll see where all that goes. All right. Next up here, we've got Kevin Lewis, who writes, one of two, was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood based on Burt Reynolds and Hal Needham. I heard rumors about that, but I never heard any kind of affirmation of that. Have either of you guys?
No, I've heard that said, but I think maybe he might have been influenced by that, but I don't think it's an exact.
I also heard Burt Reynolds was supposed to be in the movie before he passed away, so there was that there as well. Kevin Lewis also writes, watch Hooper, a 78 movie about stuntmen. I'm not familiar with that one.
Hooper's good.
What's it about?
It's Burt Reynolds plays a stuntman.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it's directed by Hal Needham. And by the way, Hal Needham directed Megaforce, dude. Just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
In that case, I like him already. Because Megaforce is awesomely bad. It's bad, but I love it. I love that movie. All right, either Audrey writes, 2 of 2. Did I miss 1 of 2? I did. Oh, it's a good thing I went back up. Yes. Either Audrey, 1 of 2, writes, weekly anime recommendation, genre, drama. Natsumi Yujin Cho. Super Chat is flagging common words like so I can't figure out which one is the issue here. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Simply put, Natsumi can see spirits. He helps them with problems through emotional tales. My original summary was more specific, but YouTube's. Okay, so now, unfortunately, Chris is not here today.
Yeah, that's a good
Who's
question.
more
for Chris
plugged
Carr.
in. I feel like either Audrey always sends in these anime recommendations whenever Chris is not here. Which is too, she knows a lot more about the anime stuff. Rob, are you familiar with this one?
I am not. But how come you never talk about Legends of the Galactic Heroes, the greatest anime ever made?
I believe that was
saying.
brought up on a show once before.
Yeah, by me.
But one of the cool things about either Audrey, their recommendations has been that. I mean, I've never been able to follow up and watch one of those recommendations, but I've often get people writing in and saying, someone on your show recommended this other show, and I went to go see it, and it's awesome. So affecting people's lives positively every single day. All right. Tom Wyenberg writes, by the way, recommend everybody watch Plan 9 from Outer Space. Had a screening at university, and it's so bad it's hilarious. Or 1981's Roar, which is absolutely insane and crazy, and also very unintentionally funny. I'm not familiar with Roar, but Plan 9 from Outer Space. Rob.
Well, of course, if you've ever seen Tim Burton's Ed Wood, you get to see the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space, but it is that bad. You can't believe when you watch it that somebody was making this movie until, of course, you watch Ed Wood. But yes. But Roar is that it's like Tippi Hedren, who was in The Birds, right? And her family went and lived with lions for real.
Tippi Hedren had a pet lion.
That's what Roar's about.
Yeah, there's photos of a young Sybil Shepherd playing in the pool with the pet lion.
Yes.
The pet lion would literally sleep in the bed with them.
And they made this movie about it, and it's insane.
Just Google Tippi Hedren pet lion, and the photos are shocking.
And that's what Roar is. It's like a documentary.
Wow. Okay. I've not even heard of this thing before. Now you guys have got me completely. So I got to see this.
By the way, watch The Birds with Tippy Hedren.
Oh, yeah. The Birds is great.
Birds. It's Halloween.
Timothy Platt writes, Game 7 of the World Series is tonight, but yesterday the Nationals go ahead home run and Ovechkin's game-winning goal were separated by 35 seconds. Incredible. I assume you're a Washington dude, Timothy. Hashtag Let's Go Nats. All caps. Yeah. By the way, when it's all said and done, Ovechkin is going to go down as one of the top 20 greatest players of all time. This dude is incredible. And you know what's been great for him is that he was around in the same era as Sidney Crosby. You know, one of the things that really elevated, sorry, I'll get off sports here in a second, but Bird and Magic was the fact that they had each other. They didn't exist in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. Bird and Magic truly, they were the, Lex and Superman. They were the yin, and so they were constantly playing off each other. That really heightened their superstardom. And I think one of the great things about Crosby and Ovechkin is that they played in the same era and had a great rivalry amongst themselves. And they really are two of the greats. Really, really are two of the greats. And yeah, Game 7 of the World Series, I hate baseball.
What? How can you hate baseball?
Stupid game.
It's not a stupid game.
Hockey sucks,
It's not
John.
even a sport.
Hockey sucks.
Baseball's not even a sport. You don't even have to be athletic to play it.
Are you crazy? Have you ever tried to hit a home run? Have you ever tried to hit a baseball?
Oh, no. It takes great skill, but so does bowling. I wouldn't call bowlers athletes either.
Dude, you're from the country that invented curling.
Actually, we didn't. I wish we did, but we didn't.
Baseball, you have to be able to have agility. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to have strength. Baseball is a very challenging sport and also hard on the body. Not good on the rotator cuffs, not good on the knees.
I'm not going to get into it. But even I,
greater chance of skin cancer.
Got to get into, I get into playoff baseball. Playoff baseball has a different level of drama. And particularly when you get into the later rounds. And the last couple of years, especially the last couple of years, has had some fantastic drama in the baseball playoffs. And I have no regard for baseball whatsoever. I'm watching Game 7 tonight. That's been crazy. Do you know every single game has been won by the visiting team? There hasn't been a home game win yet this World Series.
Is Justin Verlander starting for...
He pitched last night. And lost.
Yeah.
He has started in 7 games. Justin Verlander, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, has pitched in 7 games in the World Series. And a Cy Young Award
winner as well. Multiple times.
He has pitched in 7 games in the World Series. And he holds the record for most games pitched in the World Series without ever having a win. It's so weird when you think about that. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. In all 7 games he started, he's 0-6. One game he didn't get a decision, but he's 0-6 technically. In World Series, really, this weird drama and stories and whatever and all this. I'm going to be watching Game 7 tonight. All right. Kevin Lewis writes, over under 40%, Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD of 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson. It's a Jack Nicholson movie, so I'm going to guess way over on that, Rob.
Blu-ray.
Yes, I do. It's a Blu-ray.
Yep.
Yes, I do. By the way, can I just say Alan Parker's movie Birdie with Matthew Modine and Nicolas Cage, one of my favorite Alan Parker films, never thought I'd see it on Blue, is shipped to me from the UK by Indicator, one of the great video labels. Just saying.
All right, Timothy Platt writes, this year's been weird. I've disliked most movies that have generally been well received, i.e. Booksmart, my 3rd favorite movie of the year, and Joker. But I've liked a lot of movies that have been panned, like Gemini Man. Listen, that's the subjectivity of film, man. That's the subjectivity of film. You know what? I didn't hate Gemini Man. There's some really bad things in it, but there's some pretty fun things in it. So I had some fun with it too. But that's the reality, dude. Everybody has a film this year that everybody loves that they hate, and everybody has a film that they really like that everybody else, or that they hate that everybody else loved. I mean, that's the subjectivity of film, man. Don't feel weird about it. All right, Mad1306 writes, with Green Lantern series on HBO Max and a Superman series on the CW, what is the future of the DCU? Well, that's a 5-hour conversation. Really don't know. I mean, I wonder, though, if this television approach is an extension of what they're doing in their movies right now. They have very clearly and publicly said they are really going for more standalone quality movies as opposed to trying to build shared cinematic universe and all that kind of stuff. That may work very well hand in hand with what appears to be a new streaming and their new television approach as well. So if anything, I think it just reaffirms we're going to see more standalone stuff for the DCU moving forward. Aaron, do you see there being any difference there, or do you think one has nothing to do with the other?
I don't think that anything, I think that they're completely separate categories.
So you don't think their TV strategy is in any way affected by their movie strategy?
No, I think they're completely different departments. I mean, it may have some influence depending on the popularity of the TV show. You wouldn't necessarily. I mean, no, I don't. I think they're completely different departments, and the movies are going to be done and marketed in a completely different way than the television shows are.
Rob?
Well, I think, look, the standalone movies, Aquaman might as well have been a standalone movie. There's one mention of Justice League in it. And I think what they're going to do, and they're going to make individual...
Steppenwolf, that's it. One little line about Steppenwolf.
One little line. And I think they're going to concentrate on making director-driven, auteurist superhero movies. They're doing that with Matt Reeves' Batman. We saw it with Todd Phillips' Joker. And James Wan, I don't think anyone would have made as goofy a movie that I adored as James Wan made. And I think that they're having success. Patty Jenkins is Wonder Woman. The fact that they're making Wonder Woman 1984, I think that's probably her decision. I think it's great what they're doing, and I don't think we need to worry about a cinematic universe as long as we get these great superhero movies. If they want to cross over, fine, but I'm more interested in seeing great films.
Mm-hmm. That brings up an interesting point here, because a lot of people say, let the directors make the movie they want to make. Sorry, you can't do that if you want a coherent, solid cinematic universe. You just can't, because they will not fit together. It's just that simple. That's why the MCU, I mean, they got some great directors, but it's all the strings are being pulled by Kevin Feige. He sets up the parameters. This is what has to happen in this movie. This is what can't happen in this movie. And he sets up some boundaries. And he says, now you as the director go and you do anything you want inside these boundaries. You do anything you want. But these are the boundaries we need to have. You need to hit this note and make sure you don't do this and this, because I've got plans for 5 other movies that are supposed to reference this one, so you got to follow my plan. Mm-hmm. And everybody be like, Warner Brothers isn't just letting the directors do what they want to do. Guess what? Marvel doesn't either, and that's why their shared cinematic universe works. If you want to go more, as Rob, you're saying, auteur, director-driven movies, that's great, but then you're going to have to isolate the movies to have them make more sense. And it seems like that's what they're doing.
Well, that's the same thing that is done in the world of Disney animation. They don't just go, okay, whoever's directing this animated film, just do whatever you want. It has to fit within the Disney world, even though that's not a crossover. You're not going to have Elsa hanging out with the girl from Tangled. I forget what her name is. You're not having those crossovers necessarily, but they still have to play within the framework of the world.
And the brand.
And that's exactly what it is. It's branding. It's the same reason why when you go to a McDonald's in Paris, you're going to be able to get the same Le Big Mac that you're going to get in America. I mean,
or Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese. It won't be called a quarter pounder. They don't know what the quarter pounder is.
All right, next up, Willow Yang writes, I'm honestly much more excited by the premise of House of the Dragon than I was by the canceled prequel. Hope we will get much dragons. Well, I think that word alone is Willow is going to be what makes most people say. I'm not going to lie to you. I was fascinated by the one with Naomi. I was completely fascinated with that one. But this one sounds good too, but I think you're going to find most people are like you. It's just the fact that dragon is in the title. That's going to get a lot of people's attention, absolutely, for sure. Hector Jeter writes, where do you go? There he is. Hector Jeter writes, I want the kids in bed by 9, the dog fed, and the yard watered. Oh, this is it from Airplane.
Yeah.
The yard watered, the gate locked, and get a note to the milkman. No more cheese. Steve, I can't even pronounce the last name of the character.
I thought it was McCroskey, but I guess it's McCroskey.
By the way, this comes up at least once a month. Guys, if you haven't watched Airplane, watch Airplane. It is a spoof movie, and it's a totally different era, but my God, it stands up today. It totally stands up today. One of the funniest movies ever made. You got to see Airplane. Anyway, nice quote there, Hector. Okay, Galaxy's Edge writes, why would you spoil yourself for The Mandalorian? Well, honestly, so this comes from the fact that I basically had the rundown of Mandalorian revealed to me.
What?
Why?
So,
dude,
did you ask for that?
Okay, in my defense,
I quit.
Me too.
In my defense,
mutiny.
In my defense, it started off differently by somebody, let's just say, close to the project, said one little thing. I'm like, wait a minute, really? Is that what went in there? I'm like, yeah, and then, well, there's this other. Do you want a little bit more? I'm like, okay, yeah, tell me just a little bit more. And then before I knew it, I kind of knew most of the first 4 episodes.
Well, okay, then, Smarty Pants, are you excited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's put it this way. I was talking. Harloff knows a lot of what I know too, and Harloff and I were talking last night about certain things. I'm like, man, a couple things I found very surprising, and at first, there's one thing in particular I found out that I'm like kind of made me grimace a little bit. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, if done right, that could be very. Anyway, I'm not going to give it. I don't want to even risk giving anything away here, other than to say it's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to see it actually play out. Like if you just were to recite to me, if I had never seen Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and you were just to recite to me a couple of the main plot points in the movie, I'd go, ooh, that sounds good. And it does. I still contend to this day, each of the prequel movies, if you break them down into a 3-page breakdown and I looked at them, you'd go, this looks like it's got the makings to be really, really good. But it's all about execution, right? So I know some of the points. Whether that's going to turn out to be good or not, I don't know.
Well, look at Lord of the Rings. I mean, anyone who's gone through 7th grade knows the story.
Yeah.
But that's very different from watching the films.
That's very different from watching the films. That's absolutely right. All right. Let's move on here. Disney Milk Machine writes, movie theaters in future equals Disney exhibition centers. Not true. I mean, not true. Like I said, I just mentioned a bunch of movies I just saw that are not associated with Disney at all. So, I mean, there's that. Hector Jeter writes, any reports on what time Mandalorian premieres? I do not know.
10 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Is that true?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say,
I'm just saying they keep
know it's
moving the
November
premiere
12th.
times. Oh, well.
It's November 12th. We know that.
Is it like Netflix? Is it Thursday at midnight?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, is it going to be at 12:01 a.m.? Like, I can tell you this. Mandalorian will premiere the moment Disney Plus goes online. So the question becomes, when does Disney Plus go live? I think I'm going to guess it will be 12:01 a.m.
Me too.
And so I'll be like, at 12, like I'll be at like 1:30 in the morning going, oh, that was good, and then be awake three and a half hours later to get ready for the John Campea Show. But there is that as well. Let's see. Benny95 writes, hey, John, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Benny. And I want to say thanks again for all the work you do. Other than Star Wars, what is your other most anticipated film of 2019? I'm going to assume you mean from all the films that are still left to come.
I got 2 months.
We talked about that, and it is crazy, the films still to come out this year. Good Liar. Ford v Ferrari, Knives Out. What were some of the other ones we were talking about? There's
The Irishman, bro.
The Irishman is still to come. I mean,
it's going to win Best Picture.
21 Bridges is. I mean, there's a lot, but for me right now, it is
Charlie's Angels.
Don't call me Angel. It's all about Ford v Ferrari for me, and I cannot wait for a number of the other ones, especially Knives Out. But Ford v Ferrari is the one for me that, other than Star Wars, is the one I'm looking forward to most. What about you, Aaron? What's on the radar right now that's got most of your attention?
Ford v Ferrari and The Good Liar.
Oh,
those are my two.
So
like
good.
I just like I said last week, watching those two films back to back will be a masterclass in performance.
Rob?
I'm all about The Irishman. I can't wait to see The Irishman. I'm so excited to see The Irishman. It's all, there's a clip online of Al Pacino. He plays Jimmy Hoffa, and a guy coming to meet him in Miami. I'm like, I'm in. If the whole movie is just like this scene, it's just a quiet scene, I will watch this movie 100 million times.
By the way, just a side note. When Ann and I went up to Canada in August, we had just like one of our lazy days with the family, just hanging around, and decided, because of The Irishman, thinking about The Irishman, decided to pop on Hoffa and watched Hoffa again.
Ooh.
Very good. Great ending, too. Great. Anyway, I had to watch that again. Let's see here. K Major writes, I see why the belated funeral for Han wouldn't work, but John, like only 15 people will understand Chewie's eulogy unless C-3PO translates. So this came in, somebody said, man, I really hope episode 9 starts with a funeral for Han. I'm like, well, from what we understand, Star Wars episode 9 starts several years after the end of The Last Jedi, so that wouldn't really work. And they said, Lando should do the eulogy. I'm like, hell no. Hell no. You don't get a guy who hung out with Han in a couple of spurts. You get Chewie, his life debt partner. You get Chewie does it. And yes, you get a translator. You get 3PO to translate.
How awesome would it be to see Chewbacca speak incredibly eloquently in Kashyyykian, or whatever you want to call Chewbacca, whatever, Wookieisms, I don't know. But he gives this incredibly heartfelt, beautifully written by somebody like Steve Zalian, a speech that lasts like 5 minutes. And if you did that, and it was, but it was all translated, there would be a dry eye in the house. I want to see this now. How can we make this happen? I want to see the Rise of Skywalker open with Chewbacca giving this eulogy. dude, I love this idea. How can we make this happen?
Yeah, Chewie standing there, and then 3PO. Robert Foster once said, as the sun rises
Dude,
on the morning of the life.
That would crush. I would die. I would
Chewbacca's
cry.
actually some scholar.
That would be
He's
the
like-
greatest thing ever. And we're not going to get it. Now I'm sad.
All right, let's see here. Kara Black writes, well, John, some people would also say that Zack Snyder and the WB film division disrespected Superman with how they used and portrayed him in the DCEU.
What?
I would say those people don't understand Superman. Because when you look at the core of Superman, so this all stems from the fact that I would say I'm really pissed at CW for the way they've treated Superman.
What do you call him? I love
jobber.
I love
They
that.
made him a jobber. For those of you who don't know what a jobber is,
Jobber.
it is a WWE wrestling term that's used for a wrestler whose role is to just go in there and get beat up to make the other guy look good. They're known as jobbers because it's just a job. You know, they go in and they're called jobbers. Like, once you've been around in wrestling for long and you're not all that popular anymore, they kind of relegate you to being a jobber. And what they have done to Superman in the CW is they've made him a jobber. His exclusive purpose for being in the CW universe is to let Supergirl outshine him. The whole purpose of him being there is to put Supergirl over more with the characters, have her beat him in fights, it sounds like I'm making it up. They even had to have Superman groveling to her going, Kara, that's Supergirl. You are Earth's hero, not me. The world. And then another scene when he's talking about maybe going off world, and he literally says the words, the world doesn't need me. It's got you. I mean, and that's the whole thing. So where there's her beating up, the whole purpose Superman was there was so Kara Zor-El could beat him up and he could be a jobber to Kara. And I've always said, you want to use characters to job to put over other characters, that's fine. But in the DC universe specifically, there are three you do not do that to. You do not do that to Superman, you do not do that to Wonder Woman, and you do not do that to Batman. That is your holy trinity forever and ever, amen. You do not job those characters to other characters to put other characters over. If Batman showed up in Arrow and they had Oliver Queen beat up Bruce Wayne just to make Oliver look better to the audience, I'd be like, screw you, CW. You do not do that to the Holy Trinity. You don't do that to them. And that was the exclusive purpose of Superman being in the CW shows, was to put Kara Zor-El over and make her look good. He's a jobber.
Well, I also think that it takes away even Supergirl's power to feel like we need that. Like, we don't need Superman to be beneath Supergirl in order for Supergirl to be powerful.
Or to go over well with the audience.
Yeah.
And
I think it really, it makes the audience, it makes it seem like they think the audience is dumb. Like, the audience won't be able to revere and value her as a character unless they make that character more powerful than a character that I don't like that.
It diminishes. Now, it's cool if people don't like the new Superman stuff, what Zack Snyder did with him and Man of Steel, all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the core essential elements of what Superman is, he was always struggling to do what is right. That was always the moral North Star. It was always about that with Henry Cavill's Superman. What is the moral North Star? What is the right thing to do? Now, he didn't have the 1960s, golly, don't worry, ma'am, I'll get your cat out of the tree and we'll have some apple pie later. Golly gee. He didn't have the Christopher Reeve a disposition of Superman, but that was a Superman from another era. What would a guy with Superman's ethics and Superman's morals and Superman's struggles, how would that manifest itself in today's world? And I thought they did a beautiful job of manifesting what that would look like. Yeah, and by the way, the Superman we got in Henry Cavill was a Superman, particularly in Man of Steel, who had been Superman for one day. He'd been Superman for a day, and he's trying to figure all this out. And then by the time we get into Justice League, we start to see him now morphing a little bit into the more recognizable Superman. But anyway, look, that doesn't mean people had to like Superman. I mean, people watch Man of Steel, and I know a lot of them did and did not like it, and that's the subjectivity of film. Nothing wrong with that. But don't compare what Zack Snyder did with Superman and Man of Steel to what CW did, crapping all over and just putting Superman under other people's feet. Then they even got into the crossover event last year and just everybody beat up Superman. Everybody beat up Superman. He was literally there to be a distraction. It's Superman. Anyway, don't get me going on Superman. Benny95 writes.
We just did.
Oh, dude, I could have gone off a lot harder. Benny95 writes, me and the family just watched Terminator 1, about to watch 2. Nice, you're in for a treat. Wow, they hold up well. They really do. And then Dark Fate tomorrow. Should we be excited for Dark Fate? It's an interesting situation because you're seeing Terminator 1 and 2 for the first time. And then you're rolling right into seeing Dark Fate. Terminator 2 is one of the greatest movies of its genre of all time. Don't let that set your expectation level going into Dark Fate, because this Dark Fate is no Terminator 2. Hardly any films in cinematic history are, to be fair. So I would say look forward to it, but don't let Terminator 2 set your expectation bar. Don't let that become your bar, because if you are, you're going to be really disappointed going, as you would about almost any sci-fi action thriller coming out of Terminator 2, you're just going to be let down. Just manage your expectations and you should be good.
Well, it'll be fascinating to see the jump in technology from 1 and 2 straight into Dark Fate. That will be an exciting adventure for you.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
Thanks, Robert.
Kevin Lewis writes, I have a crush on DC Animated's Big Barda. DCEU, Big Barda. She was
Mr.
part of
Miracle's wife.
She was with Darkseid for a while, then became, I know in the animated world, became a hero. Gotta love strong women, man. Big Barda. Oh, yeah.
And she's an alien, too, which makes her doubly cool.
And she's an alien, which makes her doubly cool.
And a Spinal Tap sang, Big Bottom, my girl's got one, how can I leave this behind?
How can I leave this behind? Timbula the Spider Monkey writes, idea for Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy stays on as a supervising producer for the entire franchise, but Filoni is brought in as overall creative producer. Thoughts? No, fuck that. No, I know it's unpopular to say. I don't need a guy who's done a couple of cartoons becoming the overall creative direction guy for Star Wars. Sorry if that offends some people's delicate sensibilities, but at the end of the day, Dave Filoni has done a couple of cartoons and that's it. Screw that. No. And I like Dave Filoni. I've gotten together with Dave Filoni. I think Dave Filoni's great, and I'm super excited that they're letting him start to dabble in live action by giving him a couple of episodes, I believe 2 episodes, of Mandalorian are going to be directed by Dave Filoni, which is great baby steps. In 3 or 4 years, I may be the one leading the charge saying, let Dave Filoni oversee Lucasfilm. Maybe. I think they're starting to groom him now maybe to direct a feature film. But you want to put him as the head guy? Why? Because he's done a couple cartoons?
But let's also be clear, directing a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, that's not baby steps.
Well, I mean, in terms of...
I hear what you're saying.
Wanted him to direct a Star Wars feature film for a long time. So in terms of jumping from I've run a cartoon to directing a major tentpole feature Star Wars film.
No, I hear you.
I would say like directing 1 or 2 episodes of a live action series in relative terms would be, baby steps up to doing a feature film.
No, I hear you. I understand that. But I'm just saying I have no doubt that there are professionals who have far less, far more experience than doing a couple of cartoons, as you say, who have been passed over for directing Mandalorian episodes. That's a pretty big opportunity there.
Sure. But he's no ordinary guy. I mean, he's been tied into the Star Wars world and the Star Wars company and Lucasfilm for many years. So he's not like any average ordinary dude. And they've got a couple of fantastic directors, including Taika Waititi, Carrie, Bryce Dallas Howard is directing 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, wow.
I
didn't know that she was directing. That's great.
Yeah, and they got the girl who's directing, who's going to be the director for the Obi-Wan series.
Right.
They brought her in as well.
I want to see Werner Herzog direct. I mean, it's not like he's no slouch himself.
Is he directing episodes of Mandalorian?
No, he's just starring it.
Oh,
he's starring in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
God, I love Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog acting and Bryce Dallas Howard is directing. I love this.
The world's crazy upside down.
Yeah,
She was wonderful in Rocket Man, by the way.
She was.
I like Bryce Dallas Howard.
too.
I
do
loved
too.
her in The Help. It was The Help that made me just fall in love with her.
She had me at redhead.
I loved her in Black Mirror.
I
She's
never
in
did
the
see her
first
Black Mirror.
episode, the first episode of the first season of Black Mirror. I believe it's the first episode, and I wasn't really familiar with most of her work. All I'd seen was that one where with all the dinosaurs.
She was in the first Netflix produced season of Black Mirror.
Oh,
That was the first.
I didn't know there was another.
Yeah, there was Black Mirror was a British show that
Oh,
Netflix
got it.
took over.
I thought it was still a British show. Anyway, we're digressing. Bryce Dallas Howard.
I love
She's
Bryce
wonderful.
Dallas
That
Howard.
episode was great though.
And yes, for those of you wondering, yes, she is the daughter of one of the great directors ever, of Ron Howard. She's Ron Howard's daughter. Let's see. Gerson Monroy writes, "Hey, John and crew, love the show. I recently saw your thoughts on Walk's video of risk and dealing with the fear of failure. I know I'll be performing in my first ever off-Broadway play. Wish me luck." That's awesome,
That's
dude.
wonderful.
But by the way, acting on stage is like when you've actually got the audience in front. Like, it's tough enough to do anything on camera. It's tough to do anything on camera. But to get on a stage when you can actually see the 150 people looking at you and that is terror-inducing for a lot of people. So have you done a lot of stage stuff?
I have.
Erin?
That's actually where I got my start. And I got my equity card by playing Lady Macbeth. That was my first Shakespeare show ever. But I had studied Shakespeare in London at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, or LAMDA, as they call it for short. And I actually did an off-Broadway show when I was living in New York. And I want to just point out, what's this gentleman's name again?
It's Gerson.
Gerson, for people who go, oh, it's off-Broadway, there's actually off-Broadway is a technical term. So Broadway denotes the number of seats that are actually in the house. It doesn't have to be on the street of Broadway. It's the number of seats in the house. And I believe that anything from 501 seats and above is considered Broadway.
I did not know that.
I never knew that.
Yes, off-Broadway, I believe, is 150 seats to 499 or something like that. And then off Broadway is like up
My house.
to right.
Come and
But the
perform
thing
my
about it
house
is,
with 10
an
people.
off Broadway play is a big deal. It's not like, oh, it's just some like off. People think that it's just a colloquialism. It's actually a technical term for the number of seats in the house. And most off-Broadway plays are produced by I did an off-Broadway play produced by Primary Stages, which is a very highly reputable theater production company in New York, and it was written by Chad Begwelin, who had been nominated for multiple Tonys. The director had been nominated for multiple Tonys. I had to go through months of auditioning, beating out hundreds of people. And doing an off-Broadway show, Gerson, kudos to you. Please at me on Twitter and let me know what your show is. If I happen to be in New York, I will definitely come and see it. And I will let my friends in New York, including casting director friends, know about your show, because an off-Broadway play, that's a great place to find stars.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
good for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. All right. Next up, John Argode Rodriguez sends in a really large super chat. Thank you, John, for supporting the channel on that level, man. One of two. Hey, John. To me, The Walking Dead is the greatest show of all time, but I'm fully aware that the ratings have been dropping, along with its spin-off getting negative backlash for its stupid rebooted seasons 4 and 5. Do you think the Rick Grimes movie that's set for a theatrical release by Universal will be successful? I love the show, but I wonder if it's too little too late since the show lost its steam in seasons 7 and 8. All right, thanks a lot. And that is one of the more interesting things going on in the world of entertainment right now, is this whole Walking Dead thing with the Rick stuff. Like, a lot of people at first thought they killed off Rick.
Pickle
Turns
Rick?
out Rick wasn't dead. No, not Pickle Rick. What are you doing, Rick? Anyway, I love Negan. So they thought he was dead. Turns out he's alive and he's going to have his own. They thought it was going to be a made-for-TV movie. Then apparently it's going to get a theatrical treatment with that kind of stuff. Seriously, John, you're asking the billion-dollar question here. Because I myself have wondered, is it too little too late for something like this? Like, if you had knocked off Rick in like season 4 and then a year later did a Rick standalone movie, that could have been something. Today, I'm not so sure. It's an interesting roll of the dice for the studio for sure. And I'll go so far as to say this. I think it's worth the risk. I think it's worth the risk to give it a shot. But it is a roll of the dice. And I have wondered about this very specific thing myself. Rob, and I got to admit, I'm not the biggest Walking Dead fan in the world. I watched all of it up to the end of the previous season. I didn't see this most recent season. I saw it right up to the end of when they captured Negan and Negan was in the cage before they went into the season where Maggie, whatever her name is, got all huffy. But I didn't see the final season. I liked the show for the most part, didn't love it. I just don't know if this Rick thing's going to work out. Rob, what do you think about it?
I mean, it's interesting. Look, people love zombie movies. And here's the thing about The Walking Dead. Why don't they move to Wyoming, which is the least populous state in the country? Like, I just don't understand. Like, get the hell out of Dodge. If you're sticking around cities,
they're trying to.
All you have to do is get in a car and drive. You know, you'd be there in like a couple days.
Where are you going to get the gas?
There's gas everywhere.
Gas pirates everywhere in Walking Dead. Yep,
you know,
they're always
getting
gas.
It's all Road Warrior out there.
And it's really flat in Wyoming, isn't it?
It's except for Devil's Tower. You get to the aliens are going to come there at one point.
There we go. Yeah.
But I just never understood. Like it's like the old Sam Kinison routine when he talked about the famine in Ethiopia. He was like, "There's famine there. You're in a desert. Nobody grows. Nothing grows there. Move to the food." I'm like, move away from the food in Walking Dead. Move away. But anyway, I think a Rick Grimes movie could be cool because everyone likes Rick Grimes. But it depends. Again, it's the story and the characters.
But has the gas run out of it to make a successful movie at this point? That's what I'm wondering.
This is what I think can ignite the fire.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I think that, like, yeah, people cool off from a TV season. It's like, oh, it's going on, and I can watch it on Netflix anytime. But all of a sudden, there's a movie that comes out, and you go, oh my God, I'm going to get my fill in 2 hours. I'm going to get all the questions that I had from the show answered. Maybe I'll go back, and it'll renew my interest in the show itself. I think that that's a possibility as well.
My question, though, is what is the story? I mean, The Walking Dead has mined the undead for a decade now on multiple shows. So what story could they possibly tell that we haven't already seen?
Well, I mean, they've done a decent job of, like, not every season's been about the undead, you know, whether it's been stuff with the governor or with Negan. I mean, they've always, or I guess I didn't see this last season, but a little bit of a Civil War kind of stuff. And so, I mean, there are places they can go. The zombie world they live in is their context, but there's a lot of stories you could tell within that context, right?
It's really just about, I mean, any sort of survival film and what happens to people when they're pushed to the brink and having very few options.
No, absolutely. But still, they've told a lot of stories in that world. It'd have to be a great story.
Would have to be. Well, will have to be a great story. Again, I just don't know. It's a $1 billion question, though, John. It really is. So maybe it'll be too little, too late. Maybe it'll be the new spark that rekindles a lot of interest in the franchise. Who knows? Because I've heard they got ideas for other spin-offs as well that they want to do.
Yeah, they want to do it like for the next decade or something.
If they ever shoot a Walking Dead in Hawaii, I will definitely want to do that.
There was a great zombie video game.
I know what game you're talking about.
It's called something Dead Island.
Yeah.
Dead Island. I remember is because Anne was playing that game. And I just remember in the opening, the music, the song, I don't know why it's stuck in my head. The song in the opening of this Dead Island game was "Who Do Ya Voodoo, Bitch." That's the name of the song. And it's just really catchy. It's got this great driving beat, and I don't know why, but Anne's playing this game, and I'm watching the song just stuck in my head. I have no idea. But apparently that was a pretty successful game. And that's just there. There you go.
Okay,
just
great.
Make a Dead Island
somebody
movie.
make Dead Island. Let me know. I'm there. I will move to Hawaii.
All right, we only got time for a couple more here with Aaron and Rob, so let's fly through these. Brandon Blake writes, "One more day to Halloween, Silver Shamrock." What does Silver Shamrock mean?
That's from Halloween 3. Do. One more day till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. One more day till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. It's time, kids, for the big giveaway.
I don't like any of the Halloween movies.
Dude, Halloween 3 is a masterpiece. You don't even have, it has no Michael Myers in it.
But is it the Citizen Kane of the Halloween franchise?
It very well might be. No, I don't think you can. I think Halloween 1 is still that. But Halloween 3 is a very respectable horror film in its own right. And if you don't, you got to learn the Silver Shamrock ditty.
I really don't. I was very entertained by what you just did.
I think we just did.
Yeah, I was very entertained by that. All right. Tuning2 writes in and says, after Benioff and Weiss are gone, what will happen to 2022 release date? Dude, that's exactly what I've been wondering. What happens? Because we just, less than 2 months ago, Bob Iger said, yeah, that release date, that's Benioff and Weiss film.
I got 2 words for you, John.
All right.
Kevin Feige.
Yeah, might be Feige's. I mean, it depends on Feige's timeline, though. He just took on a hell of a lot more responsibilities.
Look, he already knows what he's doing. They already announced that he's going to do it because he already has his idea. I am sure it's much further along than anybody knows.
Might be by the time. Because I mean, by the time Jon Favreau went and pitched Mandalorian to Kathleen Kennedy, he'd had it pretty well fleshed out. Then she attached him with Dave Filoni. So I don't know. Maybe would it be great? It would be great. They got an open spot now. All right, TuneTube then writes, we had in Germany in the 1970s a lot of funny title changes for marketing. There was a Japanese Frankenstein movie, and it had some success in Germany in the early 70s. After that, they released all 60s and 70s Godzilla movies and named Frankenstein in the title. What? Had nothing to do with Frankenstein. But it was good marketing, I guess. So where this has all come from, guys,
That's hysterical.
On yesterday's show, we talked about, because Ford v Ferrari is opening up overseas, but it's not called Ford v Ferrari in the UK. It's going to be called Le Mans 66. And somebody was asking, why do we often see these title changes? And we talked about how Harry and the Hendersons was renamed overseas to Bigfoot and the Hendersons. How Live Free or Die Hard was renamed to Die Hard 4.0. How Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was changed to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And what I've always said is it's a marketing tool. That's it. Titles are the most unimportant things in the world. They really are. They have no impact on whether a movie is good or not. They are a piece of marketing, and depending on where you do it. But they put the word Frankenstein in the gods. Now, Rob, I know you are, amongst this room at least, you are the Godzilla aficionado. Were you aware of this, of these title changes?
No, but some title changes, like in France, Alien was called The Eighth Passenger.
Really?
Yeah.
Or like Harold and Kumar go to White Castle overseas, where they have no White Castles.
Right.
That title made no sense. It was bad marketing, so they changed it to Harold and Kumar Get the Munchies. That was the name of the movie, which also makes kind of a lot of sense for them, I suppose. All right, hey, listen, guys, we do have more questions to get to, and we will here in just a second. But at this point, we've got to say farewell, and since we're talking about France, adieu to Robert and Aaron right now. Rob, where can people find you online before we see you again on Friday?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and my show, Robservations, the show about something.
And we're also saying adieu to Aaron Cummings with our good little friend, Joey. Where, Aaron, can people find you? And Joey, oh, look at the way Joey's looking at you. I love Joey.
Girl. You can find me on the Instagram and the Twitter at Aaron L. Cummings, or on my podcast, which is Kappa Kappa Cancer, your guide to the sorority you never wanted to join. And you know what? I actually have an audition video of Joey. Maybe we'll post it. Maybe we'll post it on the John Campea.
I love Joey.
Is she method?
No, she's not. She just can get in there. She can cry on cue. She won't bark on cue, though. She doesn't bark at all.
I'm not kidding you guys. You see how sweet this dog? That's how she is all the time. She's just so sweet. She just ran up to me today and ran up to my foot and just rolled over on her back, asking me to rub her belly. She's so adorable. I love her.
She was almost cast in Dynasty. That's why.
You were telling me about that.
That's why I made her audition video, because the director was like, "Yeah, like send me a picture of her." And I'm kind of a psychotic overachiever, and so instead of sending a picture, I put together an entire audition demo reel. Including testimonials from people at the bar of the hotel that I was staying at. And she ended up not getting the part because they hired some French bulldog that the writer really wanted a French bulldog. This bitch had 3 handlers and literally could not sit still. They said it was the worst casting mistake they've ever made. They had to shoot around the dog, and both the writer and the director of the episode of Dynasty said, we made a huge mistake in not casting Joey.
Look at Joey.
Okay.
Look at Joey.
You'll get your opportunity. So if anybody out there can, has any jobs for dogs.
Look how cute she is. All right,
Is
guys.
SAG-AFTRA?
So we will talk to you tomorrow, Aaron, and you're going to be in costume again tomorrow.
Yes, I am.
And
so will Joey.
All right. Well, we will talk to you guys later. All right, guys, we're going to keep moving on here now with the rest of the live questions. We still got about a half hour to go here, so let's keep right on rolling. Initial D's writes, "Hi, John and crew. Hope all is well." It is all well. Was there 2 prequels in the works? HBO announced House of Dragons still coming. Also, did you HBO Max's catalog? I did see HBO Max's catalog. It's looking good. I mean, not as exhaustive as, say, Disney Plus's catalog is going to be right off the bat, but they got some heavy hitters. And dude, I'm telling you, they were at some point working on up to like 4 different concepts and ideas for prequel stuff. They're hardcore about Game of Thrones. They want to keep that money train rolling. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, "I didn't watch Dynasty last season, but I'm getting caught up for Aaron."
Oh, hey.
Aaron likes seeing that. I gotta admit, I've never watched Dynasty either, and I will watch Dynasty as soon as I know that Aaron's is gonna be on it.
I haven't watched Dynasty either, but I'm gonna start watching.
But she's gonna watch it now too. All right. Ant Banks 1984 writes, "R.I.P. John Witherspoon." Yeah, I just heard about that just before we started the show. Bang Bang Bang, of course, from Friday, and also a really incredible comedian. It was very, very sad to read that. Thanks for throwing that in there, Ant Banks. Hector Jeter writes, "Watched Roadhouse for the first time. Badass. Probably my favorite Patrick Swayze movie is Roadhouse. Be nice. I love Roadhouse. Love Roadhouse. That again, it will always be my favorite Patrick Swayze movie. That movie is great." Massive Jada writes, "Irishman is under 2 hours with with Netflix at 2 times." I'm gonna say, what are you talking about? It's well over. Yeah, that's right. So like Netflix is playing around with this idea of giving you a speed option. So you can watch something at a faster speed, which some people really like. I wouldn't want to watch a movie like that, but some people really like the idea of being able to watch it at faster speeds. But apparently filmmakers are very upset by this. It's like, that's not how we intended our movies to be watched. And some of them are very upset by it. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Cobra writes, "Why is Green Lantern not in the DC universe? It's a streaming service dedicated to DC material. Green Lantern is DC." I think because on the DC streaming, they're lower budget. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think DC's, the streaming service is going to be around much longer. I really don't. I really think it's going to just be absorbed into the larger HBO stuff anyway. And I think Green Lantern, this thing is going to be a little bit higher budget and a little bit higher profile. And they're going to want that show to draw eyeballs to HBO Max. Honestly, I think this is just another sign that the DC streaming service isn't going to be long for this world. I mean, hell, they canceled a show after 1 episode. Titans, I know a lot of you guys like it. I just didn't care for Titans that much. Doom Patrol is something really special. I love Doom Patrol, but I honestly don't think they have much plans for the future with their DC streaming service. Well, again, no inside information. I'm just saying I suspect it's going to be absorbed pretty quickly. Steve James writes, "My horror top 10. 10, Carrie. 9, Misery." I love Misery. Number 8, Bride of Frankenstein. Number 7, Night of the Living Dead. Number 6, Dracula, the 1931 version. Where are we at here? Number 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Number 4, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Number 3, Halloween, the original. Number 2, The Exorcist. And number 1, Psycho. That's a classic. You know, and to me, my all-time favorite horror movie, which breaks my heart, Steve, to see didn't even make your list. My all-time favorite horror movie is American Werewolf in London. God, I love that movie. Still the only movie that's really ever truly scared me. You know? That as an adult, as a grown-ass man to this day, I cannot turn that thing on and watch it in the dark at night. I just can't. But anyway, you got some classics in there, Steve. Nice list, my friend. All right. Miles McCullum writes, "What if Palpatine brings back the Clone Army?" Then he brings back the Clone Army. Jared Oberfeld writes, "Over under 55%, Rob owns The Room." Oh, hi, Mark. You know what? I believe he and I have actually talked about, I don't think he owns The Room. I'm almost sure that he and I have talked about that, and I do not think he owns The Room, so I'm pretty sure about that. All right, Jared also writes, "Awesome endings to Rise of Skywalker. Papa Palpatine kills Jar Jar, and the ghost of all dead Jedi say good riddance." I'd buy that. Obviously not really, but that would make some people pretty happy. By the way, in one of the Star Wars novels, they have a moment in one of the newer Star Wars novels where you come across Jar Jar Binks. and it's actually pretty sad. It actually made me feel bad. Like it's years after what happened thing, and apparently the galaxy blamed Jar Jar because Jar Jar is a Misa nominate or Misa move. We give emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor, which ultimately led to Mushroom the Empire. Everybody hated Jar Jar after that in the galaxy, and he got relegated to being like some kind of street clown. And it was very sad. It was very sad. Even somebody like me who hates Jar Jar, it was pretty sad. Justin Luchak writes, finished rewatching Battlestar Galactica. Amazing show. The parallels between the season 2 finale and our recent elections are eerie. Well, I was going to ask, are you talking about the original Lauren Green run of Battlestar Galactica or the Ronald D. Moore Battlestar Galactica? The fact that you talked about season 2 finale, it's clear you're talking about the Ronald D. Moore. It is my all-time number 1 best favorite TV show ever. The Ronald D. Moore version of Battlestar Galactica is my all-time number 1. And I wasn't thrilled with the finale, to be honest. Like a lot of shows that I love, very, very few shows that I love the finales to, including Battlestar Galactica, but it doesn't stop it from being my overall favorite one. I needed to go back, and Anne wants to watch it. I got all excited the other day. Weirdest things turned me on. Anne, about a week and a half ago, mentioned I knew she had never seen the Battlestar Galactica series, and she says, I really want to watch it. I'm like, really? Okay. So, I'm going to do a rewatch of it here pretty soon with Ann. I'm very excited about that. Murray Reich writes, saw Jojo Rabbit and it was so funny, with also some heart. That Jojo Kid's performance was so good. Taika Waititi's performance of the Fuhrer was so great. 9 out of 10. I'm telling you what, it is my number 1 favorite movie of the year right now. My top 3 best movies of the year right now are Jojo Rabbit at number 1, Parasite, the Korean film right behind it, number 2, and Booksmart at number 3. That's my top 3 right now. There's still some big ones I need to see that I haven't gotten around to yet, and I will, but that's currently where it stands. I just couldn't get over Murray. I was expecting it to be funny because it's Taika Waititi, so I knew it would be funny. I was not expecting how moving and how heartfelt the movie would be. I didn't know Taika Waititi. Now, you think after Wilder People I would have known that, but honestly, I didn't know that Taika Waititi had that in him. There are moments in this movie that you almost want to cry, and then you're laughing your guts out, and then you're deep in thought, and then it's such a special movie. Jojo Rabbit is such a special movie. Absolutely loved it. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. The Nerdy Hatter writes, I had a great weekend movie. Saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Really enjoyed. Then got to see the original Nightmare on Elm Street on the big screen. That sounds like fun. Last night I had a horror binge, and tonight Dr. Sleep. Can't wait. You and me both, Nerdy Hatter. Tonight, Dr. Sleep. I am very stoked about it. I've been getting more and more excited about it. And again, I respect The Shining and I like The Shining. I'm a Shining fan, but I don't have it up on a pedestal like a lot of film fans do. So I'm not like the world's biggest Shining fan, although I do like the film very much. But this Dr. Sleep movie has been growing on me. I've been getting more and more excited for it. As the weeks and every new trailer and every new CSB spot, I'm like, you know what? I'm just getting more and more into the idea of this movie, and I'm going to go see it tonight. So later tonight, guys, watch on my YouTube channel for my first reaction out of the theater response to the brand new Dr. Sleep movie. So that sounds like a nice week you've had. I've had a really good week too. I think in the last 7 days, I've seen, like I said, I've got to see Parasite, Jojo Rabbit, Lighthouse, Terminator Dark Fate last night, and I get to go see Dr. Sleep tonight, and I'm very excited about it, my friend. All right, Murray Reich writes, did you end up seeing last week's episode of Supernatural? If we are talking about the one with Rowena, then yes. I'm not going to give away, but the one with the big thing that happens with Rowena, then yes, I did see that. If the new one has come out post that episode, then no. And I did enjoy that episode. I enjoyed that episode quite a bit. I still don't really know where they're going with it for this season, but I did enjoy that episode a lot. Donaldo Martinez writes, I joined this gym here in Oceanside that has a theater room with cardio machines. What a great way to exercise and enjoy movies. That sounds like a lot of fun. I've never heard that. Now, what I do myself, Ann and I go to the gym every morning, 5 a.m. We go quick, get in a quick workout, come home, start working. What I do personally is I've got I've got this like 3-year-old Android 10-inch tablet. And it's great. It's like a Galaxy Note A or something like that. And I like it. It was like $180, $200 when I bought it. I now have an iPad Pro. But what I love having this Android tablet for is that I take this one around with me like when I go to the gym, because then I don't worry about breaking it. It's not super expensive like the iPad is. And what I do is when I go to the gym and I get on the treadmill or on the elliptical machine, I just put down my iPad and go to YouTube, research topics, pop on Hulu or pop on Netflix or whatever, and I'm able to watch a movie or a TV show or do some reading, do some research, watch some YouTube videos. It really does help pass the time on the grind when you're on these cardio machines. So, but a theater room sounds pretty awesomely cool. I would like to check that out sometime. All right, Murray Reich writes, are you planning to see Motherless Brooklyn? Oh, absolutely I am. They did a preview for it at CinemaCon back in April. And let's look, Edward Norton is developing a little bit of a sketchy reputation for being difficult to work with by some people. But whether that's true or not, he's a great on-screen talent. And he's got other great on-screen talent in this movie with him. And it's a cool looking period piece kind of film. I am looking forward to it. And I am planning on seeing it, absolutely. Brianna writes, it's a ways away, but I'm so excited for Cherry. Tom Holland posted on Instagram that he's already super proud of this movie. If you haven't read the book, you'll know why. Could get him an Oscar nom. Well, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves about Oscar nominations when you haven't seen the first thing of his acting in it. Let's just be clear about that. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. I've never even heard of the book, to be honest with you. But listen, Tom Holland is a dude right now that for all legitimate reasons has a lot of our attention right now. He's great. Whatever he's going to appear in, I'll look forward to watching. And this is one I've never heard of, but now I'm going to have to look it up. There was a book. I didn't even know that. I'm going to have to look that up and get some information on it. Thanks for pointing that out, Brianna. All right. Epic Berserker writes, hello, JC and crew. Wanted to know what the Frozen 2 box office opening weekend is looking like. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the opening projections. If I do a quick, well, I mean, you can do a search yourself, but Frozen 2 box office tracking. I'm sure it's good. The last I saw, I think it was like double what the original opened to. Last I saw it was going to be around double what the original opened with. So right now, where are they saying? They're saying it could have an opening weekend of anywhere between 115 to 145. 115 to 145, which I believe would be almost twice as big as the opening weekend of the original one. So it's looking strong. It's looking very, very strong. Epic Berserker also writes, was real issue with Benioff and Weiss that they were fired? I don't think so. But there's something else that went on. They didn't, again, I explained in depth why. Don't believe this BS about, oh no, we didn't realize we'd be so busy with Netflix. Don't buy that. Don't buy that. There's something else behind the scenes. What it is, I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate it, and they don't owe us an explanation. That's their business. But something else went on behind the scenes, but we'll never know what that was. Techno Babble writes, have you seen The Current War yet? No. I was gonna, but like, it's just, I've had too many other movies. I couldn't go the other night because I saw Lighthouse. I couldn't go last night because I saw Terminator. I can't go see it tonight because I'm going to go see Dr. Sleep. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll get lucky and tomorrow I'll get to go see The Current War because I've been talking about The Current War for years. The trailer dropped. The first trailer for Current War dropped over 2 years ago. Before all the drama with the Weinstein Company, which is who the movie belonged to at the time. It was a Weinstein Company thing. Then all the stuff with Harvey Weinstein came out. And then that kind of threw everything off the tracks. And then all of a sudden, The Current War went into limbo. Now they've got a new distributor and it's finally coming out. But I've been talking about this movie for years. Starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Matthew McFadden, J.P. Morgan, Nicholas Holt, Nicholas as Nikolai Tesla, Tom Holland, and Michael Shannon. Yeah, again, I've been talking about this movie for years. Haven't had a chance to see it yet. Been a little bit busy with all these other movies and stuff, but this week I'm going to run over to the AMC because it is playing at my AMC Burbank 16 now. So I'm going to run over there and see it this week. Jeremy Sneed writes, watch Dolomite Is My Name, and as funny as it was, I found myself really feeding into the emotions of some of it. Film has heart. It does. And, you know, when Robert and I were talking about Dolomite the other day, because we reviewed it the other day, one of the scenes that I talked about, it was in the first act of the movie, but that really kind of heralded, there's a different depth to this one than just the wacky comedy we were kind of expecting. And there's this scene, and this doesn't give anything away, where he's coming out of a diner with a bunch of his friends who are kind of joking about his current status in life. And just in good fun. But he storms out of the diner and one of his friends catches up with them. And Eddie Murphy kind of gives this speech, this monologue about, you know, I'm not in my life where I wanted to be in my life right now. This isn't what I imagined my life was going to be at my age, at this place, and at this time. And it was a great moment that really did herald, I believe, Jeremy, that this movie had a lot more heart than we thought maybe it would have. Anyway, Dylan Foreman writes, I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel, but I keep psyching myself out. Any tips on how to get over mental barriers when starting? Honestly, look, it sounds stereotypical to say, it's just the jumping in the water. You just got to do it. Bite down and do it. That's it. Pin your ears back, bite down, and just do it. And understand you're going to suck. I tell everybody this. You're going to suck at this when you start. I sucked when I started. I might still suck now. Who knows? But you're going to start by sucking. And just understand that before you even do it. You know, just like when you jump in a pool for your first time, you ain't going to be an Olympic swimmer. You're going to look pretty damn bad at swimming when you jump in. But it honestly, there's no magic formula. Pin your ears back, bite down, get in there and just do it. If it's what you want to do and you want to try it, just do it. The good thing is nobody's going to be watching your videos at first anyway. That's the good thing, right? That's the good thing. You're not going to have many people watching you when you first start anyway. So get your sucking out of the way. Get the first stages of your sucking out of the way quickly. But you just got to bite down and do it, man. That's the best advice I can give you, brother. All right. Where are we at here? Sanila Sheedy writes, thinking about the Avatar sequels was really wary when I realized it's goddamn James. His last two films were billion-dollar beloved films, so I hope. I mean, look, never, ever doubt James Cameron. The last two films he made for a decade were the number one and number two, and they weren't in a franchise, and they weren't part of a shared cinematic universe, and they weren't the 18th and 19th and 20th and 21st sequel, and they didn't have a 10-year, 25-film build-up. Two standalone individual movies for nearly 10 years stood as the number one and number two box office movies of all time. It took a movie in Endgame. This is what it took to dethrone James Cameron, and nothing short of this. It took a movie with about 25 big movie stars, with a 10-year build-up over 21 previous films, 21 film build-up to dethrone a James Cameron standalone, non-shared cinematic universe movie. That's what it took to beat it. Wrap your head around that. Never, ever doubt James Cameron. Now, look, I still think these Avatar movies are coming too late. I still have my skepticism about them. I think they'll be big hits, but I don't think they're going to be $2 billion films. Who knows, though? We'll wait and see as we get closer. But never doubt James Cameron. That's just a lesson we've had to learn. Let's see. Colin Z writes, John, promise us that even after the release of Dark Fate, you'll still sing the song, I'm going hunting. By the way, after watching the movie, only reinforces how stupid of a choice it was to put that song in that trailer. That song is at no way a reflection of what the trailer felt like, and it's in no way a reflection of what the movie feels like. That was a stupid, stupid selection, and watching the movie only reinforces that. Oops, sorry, I had a bit of a jump here. Where are we at here? The Nocturnal Disney Podcast writes, as a Disney guy, it took me a while, but I finally saw Maleficent 2. I expected to hate it, and I didn't. I didn't think it was good, but I didn't hate it. And look, I came out of Maleficent 2, and, you know, I said I did not like the first Maleficent, just so you know. I didn't like the first one. But I came out of Maleficent 2 and I was able to say, this is better than the first Maleficent. And I still feel, it was better than the first Maleficent, but it still wasn't great. And despite the fact that it's called Maleficent, there's not as much Maleficent in the movies. This is really Sleeping Beauty Part 2, not Maleficent 2. Not to say that Maleficent's only in the movie for like 10 minutes, not at all, but when Maleficent was in the movie really worked. There just wasn't enough of her. I mean, that was the thing to me. All right, Haskell420 writes, I vote for Mike Kalinowski for Hal Jordan. Okay. Samuel Shin writes, agree that Panther wasn't worthy of Best Picture, but it was nice to see it nominated. In my opinion, only 3 comic book films truly deserved a Best Picture nomination. The Dark Knight, Logan, and Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Yeah, look, I adored Black Panther. I can't even remember how many times I went to go see it in theaters. I love that movie. But it wasn't Best Picture worthy. It should not have been nominated for Best Picture. As a matter of fact, it was only the third best, now, this is all subjective opinion, of course. It was only the third best comic book movie of the year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was much better, and Infinity War was better. Black Panther was great, but it shouldn't have been nominated for Best Picture. That's my opinion. It is what it is, but that doesn't change the fact that I still thought it was great. And I really enjoyed it, saw it multiple times. I also think only 2 comic book movies have ever, 3 comic book movies, in my opinion, have ever deserved a Best Picture nomination. Number 1 is The Dark Knight. And by the way, had The Dark Knight come out 1 year later, because remember, The Dark Knight came out in the final year that the Academy Awards only nominated and limited the number of nominees for Best Picture to 5 pictures. And it didn't crack it. Had The Dark Knight come out 1 year later, when the Academy Award allowed up to 10, The Dark Knight would have gotten a Best Picture nomination. Automatic, no doubt. And it would have been the first comic book picture to be nominated. But the 3 I believe are Logan, absolutely, Dark Knight, absolutely, and I'll actually go Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I thought Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the 3rd best movie that year. I thought it was the 3rd best movie of the year. It's amazing. And I thought it deserved a Best Picture nomination. I really do. Anyway, thank you for that, Samuel. All right. Brian Wensloff writes, where we go? There we are. I just wanted to say I've been a fan since the very beginning, and I love having you part of my daily routine. For my job, I'm a booking agent, and I brought a schnepp to Orlando for MegaCon, my proudest moment as a booker. That is awesome, Brian. Well, and by the way, that's a really large super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, dude. I appreciate that. That is awesome. Man, I hope that when you brought him out to Orlando for MegaCon, I hope you had a chance to meet him. Especially being the guy that booked him to go out there. I just really hope you did, because getting to meet and know John Schnepp was one of the true great privileges of my career. And the fact that you got to get him out to Orlando, I really hope you had a chance to meet him. I'm not going to go into it in depth here, but just to reiterate again, working with John was truly a privilege. And I still remember the first time I was looking for somebody that knew more about Guardians of the Galaxy, the comic book, than I did. So I didn't know a lot. I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know a lot. And they had just announced they were doing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I was looking for somebody that I could bring onto my show to give a little bit more information and background and context to it. And a mutual friend of John and I suggested to me, hey, I know this guy, John Schnepp. Totally nerdy guy. You should totally meet him and have him on your show. So I got in touch with him and we set it up. He came in and did the show with me. And after the show was done, we talked afterwards and we went, that was really good. Like, we both really enjoyed working together on camera. We should do this again sometime. And the rest became history. And I probably ended up doing more videos. There's probably nobody else in my career that I've done more videos with than John Schnepp. He's probably the guy I did more videos with than anybody else. And it was a great privilege, and I hope, Brian, that you had a chance to meet him as well. Anyway, Michelle sends in a super chat just to be supportive. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that very much. Daniel Hinoja writes, thoughts on The Sandlot 1990. You're killing me, Smalls. I love The Sandlot. It's one of my wife Ann's top 10 movies. That movie's just great. It's charming, it's endearing, and it holds up. Actually, one of my favorite shirts, I don't think I've ever worn it on the show, but one of my favorite t-shirts is The Sandlot with "You're killing me, small." I've got that shirt. I love that one. So love that movie, dude. Love it. Hector Figueroa writes, John, I dig your Palpatine impression. Can you read the next chat in Palpatine's voice? I do a terrible Palpatine. Pardon me. I do a terrible Palpatine impersonation. So I won't read the next one in Palpatine's voice. But thank you for the kind words, Hector. I appreciate that nonetheless. Joe Hill writes, it's always shocking when Game of Thrones kills a character, but even more shocking when it kills a pilot. Yeah. Again, look, we knew with all these spin-off ideas in development, we knew not all of them were going to make it to screen. We knew that. I'm just surprised which one didn't. Once they announced that they had Naomi Watts in there, I really thought, yeah, this one will get made. So it surprised me. Not surprising that one of them got killed off. That's not the one I thought would get killed off. It's just the way it is, I guess. All right. Next one up. Blake Studwell writes, are we essentially reverting back to cable with all these streaming services? The price of subscribing to all is going to add up. It is. And you know what? It's funny because back in the day when we were all starting to convert over to streaming, the naysayers are saying eventually it's going to be even more expensive to do your streaming. And we laughed at those people. Oh, you're just being bitter. No, it's not. It's going to be a glorious new era, and it's going to be so much less expensive for us with all this kind of stuff. Turns out they were right. We are getting into a place now where, unlike cable, where you just get one big cable bill, you got to choose which ones you want. And if you want all of them, it's going to add up. It's going to add up. Even just now, I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Hulu, I've got Netflix, I've got ESPN Plus, I'm about to get Disney Plus, and I'm a subscriber to HBO Now, or Go. Wait, I can't remember which one it is. I'm a subscriber to the HBO streaming service. It already starts to add up, dude. And now we've got Apple Plus coming. I'm still not sure I'm going to sign up for the Apple Plus one. But we got Apple Plus coming. We got HBO Max. I mean, you're right, but it is different. Where it's really different from cable is that you don't just pay one big fee to get almost everything. You get to pick and choose. It's a la carte. If you don't want HBO Max, you don't have to have it. If you don't want Amazon Prime, you don't need to have it, But it's one of those things where, as a fan, if you want it all, we're going to be paying a lot for it. Anyway, Darth Sidious writes, is HBO Max going to be available internationally? Not sure. That I do not know, but I already think they have more international markets set. So I think you're going to see it. My guess is you're going to see it open in more international markets than, say, Disney Plus will open in at launch. Eventually, they'll all basically have global coverage at some point. But I think at launch, my suspicion is you're going to see more international territories for HBO Max than, say, Disney Plus does. Sir Ivan Bennett writes, happy hump day, guys. It is Wednesday. You guys are doing the movie Lord's work. Thank you so much, man. Also, let Erin know she's looking bonfire hot today. I will pass it on. She showed up and said, well, I said to her, see, I just assumed you're doing a 50 Shades of Grey. No, she was a kitty cat to her dogs. Which character? So, by the way, that little dog is so... I can't even put it into words. She's one of those dogs, she just wants to get and give affection, and she never makes a sound. Little Joey, I get down on one knee. She sees I'm getting down on a knee. That means cuddle time. She comes walking over, puts her head under my hand, and then rolls over, so I roll her. She's so sweet. This is the sweetest little dog in the world. Let's say Eli McRibs writes, I don't go to the theaters anymore. I wait for the physical media to come out. I have a better experience with my surround sound and 4K 65-inch TV, which is cool. I mean, look, I've got a 75-inch, great sound system, all that kind of stuff. It sucks, though. It really does. It's absolute. Our home theater systems are garbage. compared to a real theatrical experience. Particularly, you know, in like either a Dolby or an IMAX or a Prime or something like that. I can get whatever TV I've got a 4K, 75-inch, you know, great sound system, blah, blah, but it sucks compared to a real theater. It sucks. Now, there are going to be other factors, though. I myself love going to the movies. Every day that I wake up knowing that I'm going to the movies that night is a good day for me. I love nothing I love more. Going to the movies, man. I love walking in the theater, walking into an auditorium with hundreds of other film fans, and we're going to watch this big collective experience. We're going to laugh together, be shocked together, you know, weep together, whatever. There's just something about that to me is the greatest thing in the world. But that's not for everybody. Not everybody feels the same way. Other people don't like people and don't want to be around other people, and they don't want to leave the house. They just want to be able to relax in their nice living room, kick back and watch something on their TV. And, you know, there's that. But yeah, man, to me it's that. And now you gotta be careful, Eli, because physical media ain't gonna be around much longer. You might have to switch over to streaming a little bit. But it's just, again, a reflection that we all consume entertainment in different ways and we have different preferences for it. And for me, nothing comes close to the movie going experience. But for other people, they feel differently, and you feel differently. And the important thing is that you enjoy yourself. That's the main thing there, Eli. All right. Mark C writes, don't want Filoni as head of Lucasfilm, but after 6 years at Lucas's only protege, I want to see him as the head of creative. I really don't. He hasn't, not yet. He hasn't proved he can do anything in live action yet. Not a thing. He hasn't proved that he knows how to tell a story that's live action, because live action is very different from animated. Live action is very, very different from animated. And quite frankly, I'm not a huge fan of his animated stuff. I know there are other people who are, just me personally. And yeah, but he was protéging under George Lucas when he was making the prequels. So look, everybody's got, but we know Dave Filoni. I'm a fan of Dave Filoni. Make him the head of, he's not qualified. He is simply not qualified. Now, my tune may change in a couple of years once he starts getting his feet more into other areas as well and starts directing some live action stuff and doing live action stuff and then maybe doing a full feature film of his own as well and blah, blah, blah. Then I might be changing my tune. But right now he's a guy who's done some cartoons. He hasn't proved to me at all he knows how to tell a story in live action. Not a single shred of evidence. And even if you love him, you got to admit this is the truth. There's not a single shred of evidence he knows jack squat about knowing how to tell a good story in live action. There's just not. So you don't take that person and give them a huge position like that. You let them build up to it. And maybe in a couple of years, particularly after we see Mandalorian, Mandalorian can start to change that a lot. And I think they're grooming him. I really do. I think they're grooming Dave Filoni. I think that's why Kathleen Kennedy made Favreau team up with Filoni to do The Mandalorian. Favreau went to Kathleen Kennedy, pitched the idea of The Mandalorian, and Kathleen Kennedy said, you know what, that's great. I love the idea. I want to match you up. I want you and Dave Filoni to work together on this. And Jon Favreau is the showrunner, but he started working with Dave Filoni, who really helped him with the overall direction of the show. So I believe Kathleen Kennedy herself is grooming Dave Filoni a little bit. But I think we're years away still. We are years away because, again, as I said, there is not one shred of evidence anywhere that Dave Filoni knows the first thing about telling a live action story. Because animated stories and live action are two very different mediums. You can be great in one and maybe not great in the other. Or you could be great at both. But we're still a ways off from having seen. I honestly, as a major Star Wars fan, I don't want the guy who's done a couple cartoons being the head of creative. No, not yet. Not yet. Maybe in a couple of years, but not yet. NTLV. NLV 16 writes, hello, John. Just saw your response to my comment on Palp and Luke's marketing presence. I don't know what we're talking about. Have a look at the Force Awakens Star Wars Celebration trailer again. You are setting yourself up for disappointment. Again, I have no idea what we're talking about. You have to give me more context. Let's see. NLV writes, you have to take into account that Palpatine was dead. Of course, they have to address his presence more than they had for Luke. Again, I have no idea what we're talking about. Sorry about that, dude. Finally, why would JJ relegate his own creation, Kylo Ren, to secondary villain of the movie? I'll leave you alone now. Because to JJ Abrams, what's the important thing is not, it's got to be my character. That's not what JJ Abrams is about. JJ Abrams is about making the best movie possible. That's what JJ Abrams is about. Not about, no, it's got to be my characters that I create. No. JJ creates characters to help tell a good story, but if there's other tools available to him to make a better story, he's going to use those tools. And, you know, JJ's already revealed he's always intended Palpatine to be the end game of all this. That's always been his idea. So, but it's a tool that's available to him that he feels helps him make a better movie. Not about whether he's going to be selfish and cross his arms and say, no, it's got to be my characters that I created. No, he's about telling the best movie he can. Now, that doesn't mean he's the best filmmaker in the world, but I at least like his philosophy that my goal is to make the best movie I can. Not to make a movie that just highlights the characters I created. Not to make a movie that just focuses on this or that. My job is to tell the best story I can with whatever tools are available to me. Maybe he succeeds, maybe he fails. But at least that's the philosophy. And I dig that that's his philosophy very, very much. All right, Sunny Claire writes, free upgrade to HBO Max for HBO Now subscribers. Interesting. That's good to know. I just don't know if there's still going to be two separate services or not. Are they going to be two, or is one replacing the other? That I still have to admit I'm a little bit in the dark on. I'm a little bit in the dark into that. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so that's going to be the big question. But it is good to know that I'm going to be able to transition from my HBO Now subscription into my HBO Max subscription. That's good to know. Maybe that kind of suggests that one is replacing the other. Again, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good one to have. Good question to have. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this glorious day. Again, keep an eye open a little bit later tonight. I'm going to be putting up my immediately out of the theater 1 minute reaction to Dr. Sleep. And then, of course, we'll talk about more on tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's going to be me, Aaron Cummings, Chris Carr. I believe we're going to be in costume tomorrow for Thursday. So check it out. Make sure you come back and join us for that. And don't forget again, guys, on Tuesday, for those of you who are late to the party, on Tuesday, right here, on the John Campea YouTube channel is the first episode of our new Star Wars series show, me and Christian Harloff talking Star Wars on Dark Side, Light Side. Again, I know we'd been advertising that this one was going to be on Christian Harloff's Schmoedown Entertainment Network YouTube channel. We have changed plans. It is now going to be here on the John Campea YouTube channel, and that will, of course, start on Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Make sure you guys join us for that, and we look forward to it. Guys, we'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett and Aaron Cummings, and of course, little Joey for being here. A special thank you to all of you guys who were here and sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number two, you supported the channel while you were doing it, and thank you for being one of those people who was willing to support the content that you enjoy. We all thank you for that here on the John Campea Show. All right, guys. That will do it for me for now. For those of you who are Patreon supporters, don't forget about 15 minutes after we're done the episode today, I'm going to be jumping over to our Discord server and doing our John Campea Show post-show chat. I hope to see a bunch of you guys there at that time. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.